Hello and welcome to World Class Bullshitters, where we analyze pop culture on a 6th grade reading level. I'm your host, Jeff Hicks, and with me is the modern day version of Hanson, Dion Green.
Hey.
Dan Kane.
Bop-a-da-doo-bop.
Skibby-dop. Dustin McNeese.
Alcohol equals consent.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. The Dr. Phil Seitz.
I got nothing.
Duly noted. And Brian Callahan.
Hanson sucked in the 90s, and Hanson sucks now.
Truer words have never been spoken on this show.
Yay.
So, gentlemen, this week's show is going to be a little more personal than usual. We're going to talk about a decade that is near and dear to all of our hearts, the 90s. We'll talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh, baby.
You already
Could
said
this
ugly.
episode be any cooler?
We could all
90s
not
cool.
be involved.
It can
That's
be
true.
90s.
And you know what? 90s cool is Jason Priestley, Vanilla Ice, MC Hammer Pants, Backstreet Boys, and, I don't know, Clueless.
Insane.
Right?
Dude, why don't you just go ahead and Melrose Place this motherfucker up?
Was it Heather Locklear on that show? We'll call
Yes,
her
she
up.
was.
She still looks good.
Oh, yes, she does.
But before we get into that, let's see what's going on in the world of pop culture. Gentlemen, do you have any news to share?
Rest in peace, Hans Gruber.
Yeah, let's bring that up real quick at the top of the show. Alan Rickman has died, and that is the only celebrity death in the last couple weeks that I genuinely care about. Die Hard is, without a doubt, my favorite action movie, and I'll argue it's the best action movie, and Hans Gruber is one of the best parts. He's every bit as important to the movie as John McClane is. He's every bit as memorable, he's just as quotable, and he's very evil.
And he has
he's
a
a
bigger
dick
set of
evil.
balls.
He does have a bigger set of
And
balls.
it's one of the best Christmas movies of all time.
The best Christmas movie.
Agree 100% all around, guys.
He was
So-
a magnificent actor, and he will truly be missed.
I would just like to say, from World Class Bullshitters, rest in peace, Alan Rickman. You rocked everything you were in.
Hey,
How old is he?
I think he was he 69?
69.
69.
I think so was David Bowie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody major that's died this year from cancer has been
69,
69.
69, 70.
Oh, dude. I want to insert a Bill and Ted joke, but I won't.
Somebody's killing off British people. 3 British people have died in the last 2 weeks.
Man, those Brits. Gotta brush your teeth.
I was going to make a teeth joke, too, but I was like, ouch.
I mean,
Alan
we're
Rickman
speaking
had
of-
pretty good teeth, I guess.
Yeah.
but still, while we're speaking about the 90s, man, I still can't believe you didn't hit Dan with a Dan the Red Tag Man joke.
Oh, throwing red tags where he can. Red tag here, red tag there, red tag, everywhere.
Red tag.
Make it stop.
Red car.
Does anybody
point,
else
Dan.
miss the 90s, or am I the only one old enough to truly miss the 90s?
I was born
Brian, you're
in the
3
kinda
years
missed
older
it.
than me. I remember the 90s vividly, my friend.
I
miss
just
the
can't believe I'm going to be 30 in like a month.
Scary shit, isn't it?
You know what that means, right?
Party
Gotta
time.
Yeah, we gotta have a party for your 30th, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably just go get drunk at the usual fucking hole in the wall.
I'll be right
Dirty.
there.
30, baby. 30.
Oh, God. Dion.
So,
Yeah.
hey, Dion, man, you
Corey
want to come down
Griffin
for
would
my
not
birthday?
let that go last year.
Oh, Corey, I have not thought of him in weeks.
Oh, poor Corey.
Does anyone have any other news they want to bring up before we get into the, the real meat of the show?
The only
they
piece of
have
news,
the, I'm sorry, go ahead, Brian.
the only piece of notable 90s news I have is the fact that Power Rangers, that everybody loved from the 90s, got their own comic book as of yesterday.
And
So
I
it's
bought
issue
an
number
issue.
0.
I got one right here in front of me with the Blue Ranger on the cover. Impromptu review. It's pretty good. You should check it out if you watched the show.
I think that was perfect timing for that book to come out with the topic of the show this week, too.
You know what? It was coincidental. Dr. Phil came up with the idea for the show. I liked it. It was good enough that I didn't have to prepare too much for it because I'm still living in the 90s.
Hey, as long as, you don't say, hey, let's do I love the 80s weekend, we're good.
I'll just have to call up Joel for that one.
Dude, look, there's only 2 good things that
70s,
came out of the 80s.
60s.
The 80s, the only good things that came out of the 80s was fucking Slayer and Nirvana.
You forgot Back to the Future,
Beverly Hills
National
Cop.
Beverly Hills
Lampoon's
Cop.
movies,
Predator, Beverly Hills Cop, Eddie Murphy overall.
The Terminator, Captain Kirk and Darth Vader, Lopan. Never mind.
All right, so
Um,
you guys have some
Single
valid points, but the rest of the 80s fucking sucked.
I love the 80s, man, and we will get into that later. But with current pop culture news, apparently Jimmy Fallon has a drinking problem.
Yeah, he's had one
That's
for a while.
not news.
It's news to me after I just bought his ice cream and ate it. And it
That
was
sounded
goddamn
so
delicious.
fuck up just there.
Did it taste like he dipped his balls in it while he was drunk?
Did
And
not
told
taste
you a really
like sweaty
shitty
balls.
joke and started laughing in the middle of it.
What a story, Dion.
Cool story, bro.
Well,
Well,
I guess that's really it for news. Does anyone else have anything?
I did.
I-
Black Panther got their director. It's the guy who did Creed is going to do
Oh,
Black Panther.
Ryan
Scott Stapp,
somebody?
awesome.
Nice.
Scott.
Oh,
What
get out.
if? What if?
Get out. Oh God.
Dustin, that's why we pay you the big bucks to be on World Class Bullshitters.
I'm sorry, but someone's got to make that kind of money.
Wait, somebody gets paid to be here?
Shh.
Oh shit.
Cat's out of the bag. Sorry, guys.
It's not 90s news, but Vader is all but confirmed to be in Rogue One.
Oh, okay. Darth Vader. I thought you meant Vader the wrestler was going into the Hall of Fame. I think
It's
that was-
Vader time?
Vader the van is alive?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
thought he would have died of a heart attack by now.
No, he's still with us.
He's still
can't get-
wrestling.
Dude, look,
We-
Phil and I could stand right next to each other and still be smaller than Vader.
True. And smell
Dude, he was
better.
on the Raw memory show, whatever it was a few years ago, Jeff, and he, even for a big guy, how old he is, he was in phenomenal fucking shape.
Yeah, he still wrestles.
Hell, I give him props then.
Well, Dustin.
Yes.
So are they going to get James Earl Jones? Is that the rumor?
Yes, he is confirmed to do. They don't know if he's recorded his lines yet or they're waiting for post-production, but he will be the voice again.
You know, I've always gone on the record on this show and said I wasn't a fan of Episode 7, but I am behind Rogue One because it's just like we're going to, turn the camera to the side and see what else was going on during A New Hope. I think that's a cool take. I mean, those are the kind of things, if you want to expand a universe, tell me other stories that go on concurrently with, the main story and introduce new characters that way.
Right, I heard a
Maybe
cool
don't-
theory that, it's not a theory, but someone said, wouldn't it be cool if the very last shot of the film was when they're boarding Princess Leia's ship, but from the point of view of the stormtroopers as that door opens, and then
That
cut
would
to
be
credits.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That would be really, really fucking good.
Everything I've said about Disney owning Star Wars would not flip completely, but it would even out. We'll put it like that.
Reduce.
Alright,
The force would be balanced.
Somebody email a copy of this MP3 to a Disney exec, stat.
I guess that's me, since I'm the only one that has access to that.
Well,
Dion. Yeah, go, Phil.
I was gonna say, last bit of news is the Oscar noms are out today.
Enlighten us, Phil.
Yep.
Well, Mad Max and The Revenant swept the nominees. Mad Max has 8 Oscar nominations.
Do you
And
have
next
the
has
categories?
10 and 12 for the Revenant.
I do. Best Picture. Mad Max also is nominated for. Hold on, I'm scrolling down the list. Cinematography, costume
film.
design, directing. Excuse me. Film editing. Not makeup.
Is that a category for not
Yes,
makeup?
not makeup.
The winner for not makeup.
Production design and sound editing, sound mixing, visual effects. And,
I know-
unfortunately, Star Wars has also been nominated for 4 Oscars, which I don't believe it deserves. Visual
Right.
effects,
Technical.
sound mixing, sound editing, and original score.
I can get behind all those nominations except score.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to turn this into another Star Wars rant because you can check out that video on our channel, World Class Bullshitters. But Mad Max, I think it deserves Best Picture. It's finally time that, I guess you'd call it a genre film or some sort of non-boring Oscar-baity piece of shit, gets a nomination like that. I mean, the original Star Wars was nominated for Best Picture, and it should have won because that's a movie that was really game changing. I think
Well-
Mad Max was really game changing.
And I was gonna
I
say,
will
Mad
say
Max was our number one film of the year. You can check that out on our 2015 special. On
Damn right,
Well,
Doctor.
Clay.
Tied for number one.
That's true. If we take into account Brian's score,
Yeah,
Mad
it doesn't
Max.
matter.
Oh.
I'm sorry,
not
what's that,
nice.
Phil?
But no, I get what you're saying. No, go ahead.
It ties it. It makes Mad Max and Kingsman both tied with 22 points, and that's the only change in 1 to 5 order. So
Well, I thought Ant-Man jumped to 3.
no, Ant-Man was still number 4.
Oh.
And by
Has
the
anyone
way,
watched Revenant yet?
I have-
Not yet. Hillary and I are gonna go see it this weekend.
Okay, I saw it opening day. It's one of those films that you can watch once and be glad you saw it, but never see again.
That's
Yeah,
how I
no.
felt about the Hateful Eight.
it was really long.
I mean, before we get into the feature, I can't really recommend it highly. I guess if you're a Tarantino nut, go out and see it. But it was probably, in my opinion, of the films I've watched, his next to Kill Bill and Inglourious Bastards, probably the weakest.
Hateful Eight is up for a couple Oscars as well. Cinematography, Jennifer Jason Leigh was nominated for Best Supporting Actress.
She
And-
sucked.
She
Original
didn't do
score.
anything.
All she did is spout a bunch of racial epithets at Samuel L. Jackson
And
get
then get her
punched in the
face
mouth.
punched
Right.
in.
Yeah,
All right,
I
gentlemen.
agree.
Yo,
The Oscars are cool and all, but let's get to the 90s.
Before you move on, I want to call it right now. Leonardo DiCaprio will lose to Matt Damon in actor in a leading
Matt
role.
Damon!
Matt Damon is nominated for The Martian, and Leonardo DiCaprio is nominated for The Revenant, and I think Leonardo DiCaprio will lose once again.
I agree. I think they look so similar.
okay
How
with
can you even
that.
tell them apart?
As great as I thought The Revenant was, I thought it was a fantastic movie. It was just a little too long, but he's not going to win it. Martian was.
He
I don't
didn't
know. I
really
think this is
do a lot of
different. He's finally playing something based on a not finally, but another movie where it's based on a real person and seeing how the story's so fucking crazy and a lot of that stuff actually happened. I think that he actually takes it this year.
I don't know. I
Dustin.
said it to Jeff last week. I think it would be hilarious if Leonardo DiCaprio never won an Oscar. Then later on in life, they made a movie about his life, and that person won the Oscar.
That
Would actually be fucking hilarious, Phil.
Yes, it was.
Fate would be laughing. Hey, Dustin, you were going to bring up a point?
Oh, I was just going to say, for 2/3 of the movie, he's not doing anything, so I don't see why he even got the nomination this year. Tom Hardy, on the other hand, proved to me that he's a phenomenal actor. I thought he was just some big meathead. He can act.
There's a movie he's in called Bronson that Jake recommended.
Great movie.
And yeah, everyone keeps telling me how great it is. I got to check it out. I like Tom Hardy. He barely did anything in Mad Max, but he was the actor that earned my most respect this year, if that made sense.
Well, then he was in Legend, and he that was fucking awesome. I thought, and because he played a set of brothers, but he played both of them.
I saw one other movie he was in this year called Child 44. Honestly, the only film I've walked out of midway. It was terrible. And,
Okay, gentlemen.
and the only thing that it had going for it was Gary Oldman, and I left because fuck that shit.
All right.
And it's kind of funny to tie everything together is that Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio were like the it guys of the 90s, and now they're still bringing the shit in 2016. We're 16 years removed, and those guys are still relevant. So I think that's the perfect point to take us to our main feature.
All right, real quick before we move on to the main feature, since everybody keeps talking about Mad Max, I got to get this off my chest. While the movie was visually stunning and the story was great, it was another Raiders of the Lost Ark. You didn't need Mad Max in the movie at all to change, and it wouldn't change a damn thing.
Wait, are you
What?
insinuating that Raiders of the Lost Ark would be the same without Indiana Jones?
Yes, everything exactly
Get
would have
the
still
fuck
happened without
out.
Indiana fucking Jones.
You are officially no longer a world-class bullshitter. You're like an intercontinental bullshitter. You have to earn your status back for a comment
Small
like
beans, son. Small
Actually,
beans.
no. That is such big bullshit that he still maintains world-class bullshitter status.
That. All right, I'll allow it. But
Yeah, that's a good point.
no, but Indiana Jones definitely is important to the.
No, it was a great movie, but the story would have progressed exactly the same with or without him in it.
No, dude. If Indiana Jones wasn't there, two
The
reasons.
Nazis would have still got the Ark, and the Nazis would have still opened the Ark, and they all would have fucking died.
They may have taken it. They may have taken it back to Hitler,
And then the Ark would have been left out in nowhere.
Yeah.
Or they wouldn't have found the Ark because the only reason they were digging in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
And
they wouldn't have even. The only reason they found out where it was because they saw that Indy and what's his nuts were in a separate hole.
Because Indy had the actual headpiece to the staff of Ra,
Right?
And Tote only had it burnt into his hand. Because if you flipped it over, it says, "And take back to something for the Hebrew god to which it was honored for," or something. So they're digging in the wrong place. So I think Indiana Jones is relevant.
It's still a great movie, no matter what.
Well, no. Here's the thing, though. They wouldn't have. Brian, one problem. The Nazis wouldn't have opened the Ark on that island because without Indiana Jones, it would have been loaded on the plane and flown straight to Berlin, and it would have been opened for Hitler, and then
killed thousands.
World War II never would have ended the way it did.
And most of us probably wouldn't be born.
And in Mad Max, there were several points where Max intervened that, for instance, when they're driving through the desert and it goes to nighttime and they have the people coming up behind them and they're driving through the mud pit and the truck gets stuck and he goes back and he kills a bunch of people. They would have caught up and killed everybody.
Yeah, because Furiosa was cool, but Furiosa wasn't as capable as Max to,
And even then, even if they got past that, where she finds her people, they would have just drove out over the ocean and fucking died. It was his idea that was like, okay, let's go back because all the four boys are fucking gone. Yeah, they're all gone, so we have to go back. They would have went out, even if they made up into that point, they would have fucking died.
Well, I think the movie is getting the due praise it gets. It's our #1 film. It's up for an Oscar. It's actually going to make me want to watch the Oscars because I have a horse in the race now. I genuinely care about Mad Max. I mean, The Revenant is probably a good film, and I would give it a shot. It's got to be better than The Hateful Eight. But 2015 was great and bad at the same time. It had a lot of disappointing movies for me, and I'm not including Star Wars. I'm just talking about other movies in general, and it had a lot of surprises.
Agreed. I can agree with that.
So if the listeners who are out there want to hear more about the year 2015 in review, you can check out our video where we actually give out the awards for the best of 2015. We talk about movies, a little bit about music, some television, and video games. So if that's your cup of tea, check it out.
Woo!
So are you guys ready for the main feature?
Do it to it, baby.
Everybody got the popcorn?
Oh, shit.
All right, that's a yes from Phil. The 90s was a magical decade. It was the decade that made it cool to be a kid. It was the decade of the Nicktoon, Cartoon Network, the great console war between Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, Pogs, Power Rangers, Pokemon, Super Smash Bros., The Talk Boy, Batman, Old Navy Performance Fleece, Nintendo 64, PlayStation, Dreamcast, Tech TV, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Home Alone, The Adventures of Pete and Pete, Twister, Volcano, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bill Clinton, Goldeneye, Waterworld, and it saw the return of Star Wars. So this week, we're just going to kick back and talk about what made the 90s so great and what it meant to us.
That was beautifully done.
That
was very beautiful, Jeff.
I have a boner right now.
I always
Weird.
Well, we were all kids in the 90s. None of us were grown adults. We weren't doing the boring, mundane shit that some of us do nowadays. It was the greatest period of fun that all of us had in our lives. I mean, you could wake up on a Saturday and pop on Fox, and you could watch some of the greatest cartoons of all times back to back to back. You could play some of the greatest video games. You could see some awesome movies. There were great toys in the 90s. Let's just talk about what we had, what we loved.
The best cartoons ever were from the 90s.
Yes.
You had things such as Doug.
Yep.
With appearances of Quail Man and his trusty sidekick, Porkchop.
Yeah.
Rocco's Modern Life.
Great show.
Again,
Fox,
that was not meant for people our age.
Yeah, well, and then Fox Kids was the even though you had Nickelodeon and all that, but Saturday morning cartoons. I mean, the staple was perfected in the 90s, hands down.
Oh, I agree. I mean, the four cartoons that I think of when I think of the 90s, first thing I think about is Batman the Animated Series.
Yep.
I will argue next to The Simpsons that is the greatest cartoon ever made. It's one of the most important cartoons ever made.
Tops The Simpsons.
Top Simpsons for you? I just think that The Simpsons has, almost 30 years on the air, and the presence and the impact that The Simpsons made on pop culture will outweigh Batman the Animated Series, because Batman exists as something else. The Simpsons is only that cartoon.
No, I know, but Batman the Animated Series was my introduction to superheroes and comic books.
And it was a great introduction. I don't think people nowadays could actually understand how, important how game-changing that show was back then. Because prior to that show, and the movie came out so close to it, so let's just jump back a few years prior to the Batman movie / cartoon. We were on Adam West's Batman, or The Adventures of Batman and Robin, the cartoon, and it was kind of hokey, and Batman was always neat-looking, but he did not act as cool as he did in that show, and I think that shows the perfect combination of dark, brooding Batman and light and funny Batman.
Let's face it, gentlemen, up until 89, with Batman 89, Batman was a fucking joke on the big screen.
Yep. Now, Nick, on the other episode, thought that Batman 67 was the best Batman film. But, he's from Samoa, so who knows?
Right. Things are different.
That's just now airing in Samoa.
Oh, okay. So I'll get a coconut in the mail.
Jesus.
Hey, I don't care.
I don't know.
Rest in peace, Rowdy Piper.
And there were so many good cartoon lineups. I just remember after school in the 90s coming home, and I had my choice of what I wanted to watch. Did I want to check? And actually, I didn't even have to choose. Right after school, I get home and go with X-Men and Spider-Man on Channel 19. Then flip to 64 after Spider-Man for Darkwing Duck and fucking Tailspin and all that other fun shit.
Yeah, I was going to bring up, though, if you didn't have cable growing up in the 90s like I didn't, it was Fox Kids and Kids WB.
That's right.
And, I would work my schedule around, what show's going to be on what channel next.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, that was actually before Kids WB.
Well, hey, even us poor kids, you could arguably say the shows that were on network TV were better than the ones on cable. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I can agree with that. I didn't have cable. I had cable in the early 90s. And then we had it in, the year 2000. So that disqualifies it from this conversation. But network cartoons were awesome. You had X-Men. You had Spider-Man. You had Freakazoid. Technically, Darkwing Duck was a network show.
Yep.
You had...
Darkwing Duck was on Star 64.
Animaniacs.
I was about to say Animaniacs. Tiny Toons.
Oh, God, that was a great
Holy
film.
shit. Looney Tunes.
And
Advanced
was
Return.
to the max.
And there was Hysteria. All the Steven Spielberg-produced cartoons were excellent.
Pokemon is 20 years old.
We're all old.
Yeah. I was just reading an article about that the other day.
I'm surprised that Pokemon has lasted that long.
I am too.
I'm not, because they beat the hell out of it. I think last I read, there's almost 800 Pokemon now.
See, I'm one of those people that's guilty of, if I like something and then I get out of it, it doesn't exist anymore to me. So then when I hear about it, it's like, oh shit, that's still a thing.
We're all that way, man.
You know what's funny? We were so excited to reminisce about our the 90s that we forgot the great pop culture debate.
Oh,
man.
Oops.
So I think that's important because it's a really great 90s topic tonight. And we're just going to go back, guys. What is the best 90s installment of a pre-existing franchise?
Ooh.
I know that's something that's near and dear to our heart. We can go back to cartoons in a moment, and our listeners will sympathize with us because we're excited. This is like a second Christmas. We just get to relive all the goodness that was our childhoods.
That's right.
And, I feel bad for some of the people that grew up in the 80s because Transformers was not as cool as people remember.
No.
That was a commercial to sell toys. Some of our cartoons actually had a message behind them and weren't written for little kids.
I did watch, in my very young childhood, I did watch Transformers and G.I. Joe before school.
Grandpa.
Every day. Oh, suck it, Trebek.
Don't feel too bad.
cartoons.
We had Transformers Beast Wars, so don't feel
Beast Wars.
Beast Wars.
I say a lot of cartoons back then had messages, and
Did you-
nowadays you watch cartoons and it's just there to make you laugh and keep your eyes glued to the screen.
A lot
I
of
will tell you
cartoons had
this, though.
messages, and then there's Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
They had a message.
Yeah,
I
don't
don't
let
know
your
what
house
it
on fire.
was, but they had a message.
G.I. Joe in the 80s always ended with the more you know segment.
Yo, Joe. Yeah, well, Dion,
Yes, sir.
you're the reigning pop culture champion on this show.
Yay, yay.
What is your favorite 90s installment of a pre-existing franchise?
Favorite 90s installment. See, this one was tough for me because it came down to two. And I think, gentlemen, as well as you know me, you know that when you hear them both, you'll be like, damn, that makes a lot of sense for that. You know, that's how Dion is. But I came down to two. It was Predator 2, and then Lethal Weapon 3. I had a really, really tough time deciding which one I was going to go with. I ended up deciding to go with Lethal Weapon 3. I absolutely love that movie. For me, especially for as far as franchise, it kept the same dynamic, but it changed the story up a little bit. It was topical at the time as far as what the story was about, and then too, again, it was the embodiment of, you know, coming from the 80s but having that 90s flair to it, and I fucking love that movie.
So no Beverly Hills Cop 4 is anywhere on that list, or 3, excuse me.
It's perfect that you got it wrong. Said it was 4 because fuck it.
Yeah, Beverly Hills Cop 3 is shit.
He's
Hey,
up in
Dustin,
there.
Yes.
I would like your answer.
Terminator 2, Judgment.
I knew you were going to say it, and that's an excellent choice.
Yep, because we got a few years prior was Terminator 1, which was, I don't think it holds up well, but you can throw in Terminator 2, and maybe aside from the haircuts, you can't tell that it was made, you know, however long ago, 15 years ago. It took everything from the first
25.
25. Jesus.
I believe that movie came out in 1991 or 2.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking. Well, yeah, Jesus.
Too
Anyway,
old now, Dustin?
I do. God, if my two kids didn't give it away. But it took everything from the first film and completely flipped it. You have Sarah Connor. She's this little waitress, can't defend herself, needs Kyle Reese. And then we kick off Terminator 2 with she's this militant, and I hate this term for women, but badass. And the Terminator himself is now a good guy. So everything's flipped. It's not a rehash of the original. Phenomenal practical effects. CG that still holds up to today, and one of the best storylines in an action movie I've ever seen.
Dustin, that was probably one of the best ways to describe Terminator 2. And I just want to throw in that when I was a kid, I just called both movies Terminator. So I would rent Terminator 1 and wait for the Terminator 2 stuff to happen. And I was always disappointed. So
It's like
years
sex
to...
to Phil.
No!
Oh. Speaking of Phil, do you have a movie?
It doesn't involve sex.
They could have sex.
Oh.
No, I got nothing on this one, guys.
All right, you're going to take a pass this week. Daniel-san.
He's going to pick up.
I think he's
And-
gone right now.
What happened? I'm sorry.
Fine.
My shit was sloppy.
Okay, Dan, do you have a movie for the pop culture debate? Brian, do you have a movie for the pop culture debate?
I want to say it is Friday the 13th, Part 7. I'm double checking it real quick, make sure it is 7. But Jason Goes to Hell.
I think that's Part 9, dude. Because
Might
Part
be.
8 is Jason Takes Manhattan. Part 7 is...
Hold on. I'll tell you exactly in 1 second. You
Jason
are
Lives is Part 6.
you are correct. It is Part 9. My bad.
Hey, you could have bullshitted me and made me believe it was Part 7, but
Actually, it has no specific part. It's just Jason Goes to Hell, the final motherfucking Friday.
I think since Dan is gone, or not Dan, Nick is gone, I have to be the resident horror guy, so I guess I'll, have to keep my street cred. But why is that your favorite version of a 90s franchise?
Well, even though it was by far not near any of the best Friday the 13th, it kept the spirit of horror alive in the 90s when horror movies were getting worse and worse by the fucking day.
They, the early 90s was a weird point because you had the remnants of the slasher, and then in 96 you had Scream, and from 96 to, I don't know, 2002 when you had The Ring or whatever, or The Grudge, everything was a fucking Scream clone. I mean, they even tried to turn Halloween into a Scream clone and hired all those pretty white people just to get killed off.
Well, I mean,
LL Cool J in it.
Oh, God.
Halloween H2O, man, that was one of the worst horror movies. Almost, in my opinion, almost killed the fucking genre. And I guess that's the great thing about the 90s is there was so much good, but there were a lot of things that swung on and missed in the 90s too. I mean, it's nuts.
Yeah, there was some shit. I mean, I'm gonna throw my movie out. I'm not really in this argument. I'm just gonna bring up Goldeneye. I mean, James Bond obviously existed since the 60s, and I think Goldeneye is the best Bond movie. So that's gonna be my answer. Back to the Future 3 is okay, but it's not as good as the other two, so it's the worst
it's
one.
not.
Die Hard with a Vengeance is an excellent movie. That is the only Die Hard film that you may be able to draw me into watching over the first film. Not because I like it more, but because I've seen the first film so many times, and that 3 is refreshing because it's still good. 2 can suck a dick.
I bet I like 2. Hold on, and I was surprised that not surprised, but since Dan, couldn't get it, that's why I thought he was gonna go with was Die Hard 3 because it was. I mean, Die Hard 3 is a great fucking movie.
Yeah, it was.
And plus, it's Samuel Jackson, starting to grow into the power that be, combining with John McClane into another great buddy cop movie. I mean, damn.
It's excellent. Like I said, it was the number 1 grossing film of that year, and it deserved it. That is an awesome ball. That's kind of what I miss about the 90s too, is when they would make a new version or a new entry into a franchise, they wouldn't neuter it. If anything, they'd make it more extreme.
Right.
I mean, Die Hard 3 is fucking violent. Just as violent as the first one, if not more. I mean, when he shoots those dudes in the face in the elevator,
yeah,
that's bloody as shit. But then when we get to Die Hard 4 in 2007, the theatrical release is rated PG-13, so there's no blood.
That was a terrible movie.
4 is not a terrible movie. The problem with 4 is that it's Len Wiseman did the fucking movie. Everything he does. Or was it Len Wiseman that directed 4?
No, I think it's a French guy.
You're okay. Okay, yeah. I think he did. I think he did A Good Day to Die Hard. But and I feel like that's kind of like the bad thing about the 90s too, is that it set a bar that, okay, well, if we just take a part of something and kind of improve it, this always will work. And then the thousands, people didn't have a lot of original ideas, and that's kind of apparent with Live Free or Die Hard. But,
and Dustin or Dion, you're correct. It is Len Wiseman. He did direct that film.
He did do it. Okay.
I was thinking of Louis Leterrier, and he directed The Incredible Hulk, which has nothing to do with this.
Yeah. Oh, nice. But yeah, and that was my thing with it, was that it looked, fucking A Good Day to Die Hard, although it's a good movie, it looks like fucking Underworld. It's like, stop. Not everything has to look like Underworld, Len. Cut it out.
You mean Live Free or Die Hard was a good movie?
Right,
because a good Day to Die Hard is complete bullshit. That movie is garbage, and that's a movie you cannot say a kind word about on this show. That's the one rule. I repeat, do not say A Good Day to Die Hard was a good film.
You don't like A Good Day to Die Hard was. I'm not even gonna push it. I'm just gonna stop there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Hey,
Len Wiseman did direct Live Free Die Hard, by the way.
We just said that.
Thank you, Doctor.
You said you weren't sure.
Hey, Dustin.
Yes.
Tell me, have you seen Lethal Weapon 3?
I have not.
Have you seen any of the other people's films?
What were they again? Can everyone list off one by one?
Goldeneye.
I've seen that.
The Lethal Weapon 3.
Have not.
And Friday the 13th Part 9, Jason Goes to Hell.
Jason Goes to Hell, the final fight. The final Friday.
Have you seen that one, Dustin?
I think I've seen parts of it.
It's not a very good movie. I mean, Jason's not even in that fucking movie. Somebody eats Jason Voorhees' heart.
Richard Grant
takes their body. Dude, there are nostalgia movies, and I'm going to talk about some of them when we get to the later into the show. But Friday the 13th Part 9 it's a pile of horse shit.
Hey, at least I picked something.
No, but the thing is, Brian, the way the great pop culture debate is not about the way it works is it's not about the best film, it's about the best argument.
Oh, I know.
And I mean, right now it's between Dion and Dustin.
I'm trying to think of a good argument to defend this film.
I mean, I can always give you an award for thanks for trying.
I will say this though, it does end with a fucking unexpected bang, man.
I will say this:
you do see, we do get to see Jason for a whole 5 minutes at the end of the movie, and we get to see Freddy's glove pop out of the ground and grab his mask and drag it in.
Oh, don't forget, America, the sequel to that awesome ending of Jason, which was the only good part of that movie, was Freddy vs. Jason. So fucking take your salt pills now.
But one thing, guys, and I will say this: Terminator 2 has the most emotional ending of the movies listed.
I mean,
you can be a grown man and tear up when the fucking T800 gives the thumbs up and John Connor is upset. I can understand that. That to me has the most emotional ending. Lethal Weapon 3 has Joe Pesci, and that's a good movie. I'm not shitting on it, but the ending's not memorable. But I will say this about Friday the 13th in defending it for you, Brian. That is the only ending that makes me pumped for what could be next. Not what did come next. What could be. And when that glove and Freddy Krueger laughed, that's fucking cool. That'd be like, that's like at the end of the first Avengers movie. When you're like on this emotional high, you're like, oh my god, what a great movie. The world is different. And then there's fucking Thanos at the end, and you're like, holy shit, there's gonna be more. I mean, it did take fucking like 12 years to make Freddy vs. Jason. But you at least went out on a high note. So I guess that's the only thing I would think your movie has over the other two.
Well, yeah, there's that. I think that's I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
You did also get to see Richard Grant eat a fucking heart.
That's true. And you got to see that girl in the tent get stabbed through the stomach and ripped in half.
Yes, and I can't remember the actress's name, but the FBI agent in the beginning of the film, you get to see that fine ass of hers.
Well, I mean, you get to see the fine ass of Linda Hamilton.
Oh, come on now. That's not fair.
I'm joking. Dustin, honestly, I think you gave the best argument. Really, T2 is the superior sequel. I will argue that it's the second best action film of all time.
It's a great movie, but for me, the thing about Lethal Weapon 3 is, I mean, there are so many tropes. I mean, like, that's why I love that friend. There's so many more tropes come out of that. I mean, 3 was where the whole countdown to retirement thing started. And especially over, T2 and Friday the 13th, it was topical. Obviously the whole gang thing was huge in the 90s, and they touched on that, especially seeing how, I mean, the ending wasn't emotional, but for me, out of all these movies, it has overall the biggest emotional part in the movie where Murtaugh fucking shoots his son's friend, his son's friend from school. And
is that more emotional than losing the only, fake father you've ever had?
Oh, yeah.
Because, John Connor was fathered by a dude from the future that he sent there and who died before he was ever born. And then he gained this emotional attachment to a robot who could never feel emotions, but knew why he felt those emotions. I mean, that's some heavy shit.
And if you want to talk topical, we're 91 when this film was released. It was in production probably 2 years. We're coming out of the Cold War, and the theme here is nuclear annihilation. And then you see the violence, like Terminator's watching the little kids running around playing with guns, and it's showing all the problems of the late 80s and early 90s in one film, and the stakes were huge. That's topical, not whatever gang violence in whatever city that crappy movie took place in.
Oh, whoa.
I know things were different in Plainwell, Michigan, but the gang warfare going on in LA was a huge deal.
Did you grow up in LA, or did you grow up in a small rural community as well?
Well, I'm black, so you wouldn't know brothers in Plainwell. But
can I say one thing though?
Yeah.
Your arguments are. Your movie took place in L.A. and your movie took place in L.A. So, and Die Hard took place in L.A. too. So I'm gonna throw that one out, guys. Dion, I understand where you're coming from. It is very relevant. I mean, we'll bring up the Rodney King beating, and that led into the L.A. riots of 91, 92. So it's very topical too.
Right.
Dustin though brought a whole worldwide relevance and consciousness with the whole Cold War thing. That really.
And that's true. I
think he's just matched your RoboCop Roman Catholic.
No, I don't know about all that, but the only thing with that is the father figure thing. Again, that's true, but there's always a separation. So it looks great, but you know that he's a robot. I mean, there's always that one part where you're like, okay, that's not real. But
he transcended his machinations, and he truly filled the role of father figure. He was teaching him things. He was becoming human. So to say, it doesn't count because he was a robot. No, by the end.
I didn't say it didn't count. What I said was there's always, even for people watching the movie, there's always, your disbelief is suspended, but you're like, okay, well, that's not going to happen in my lifetime. With Lethal Weapon 3, people's kids were actually dying because of this thing that was happening. And for that scene where he kills his son's friend from school, and especially where he's trying to give him CPR and the kid is fucking dead. It's like he's like, no, that's my son's friend. I mean, that's something that's directly relatable as opposed to a cybernetic organism kind of being a dad for someone. That there's a little bit of separation there.
But doesn't that even bring a new question though? What is truly human? I mean, what does Lethal Weapon? How does Lethal Weapon make you think?
Well, again, I mean, obviously you guys got to watch the movie, but like I said, I mean, it's directly relatable. This whole gang, young kids going out, joining gangs and killing each other. I mean, that's something, and again, I'm not saying that you're not wrong, huh?
That happened a lot in your hometown? You guys had a lot of...
It did, yeah. A lot of shootings in Stockbridge, Michigan.
Cow tipping?
Yeah. I mean, it's dangerous. It's a dangerous game.
I wish they could see your face right now.
where I get where Dion's coming from with his argument, but and with Lethal Weapon, that's a real life kind of situation that that's something that could actually happen in real life. They took relatable things that are happening in our time, or in that time period then, and put it into a fictional based movie. Because I mean, really, robots coming back from the future, that's not going to happen.
Right.
So that in my opinion, I feel Dustin's won this argument.
Thank you, and I take back that joke earlier. I am so sorry.
You know what? Honestly, Dustin, I didn't even hear it.
Oh, don't listen to the show.
So I don't get to argue GoldenEye. Thanks. I get fucking booted off my own show. All right. I'll just say this: GoldenEye's an awesome movie. Different realm than Terminator 2. Terminator 2 is a game changer. It's never been topped in its own franchise.
Right.
Do you guys agree with that? Is it the best Terminator?
Absolutely.
Hands down. It's probably the last good Terminator.
Yeah, I mean, Terminator 3 is horseshit. It's stupid, too, because, okay, I don't want to keep bringing this up, but like I said with Star Wars, Return of the Jedi ended the story. Terminator 2 ended the story.
Absolutely.
There is nowhere else to go with those characters. All you can do is ruin the legacy in that universe.
By making 3 more movies, all they wanted was more money.
And they weren't even huge hits.
No.
The point of 2 is that the T-800 sacrifices himself so World War III is averted. And then all of a sudden Terminator 3 comes out. Yeah, he did that, but it didn't matter. It still happened.
Yeah, they shit all over it.
Judgment Day is inevitable.
They shit all over it.
And so on and so forth.
Well, now the other thing I love about Terminator 2 was, there's all this crazy shit going on in the background, right? But then at the end of the movie, fucking Sarah Connor learns to be a good mom. And it's like, you hit me in my feels on so many levels, Terminator 2. And then immediately in the third one, it's like, oh, well, she died, and John Connor, became a fucking asshole. It's like, what the fuck, man?
Dion, did she early become a good mother? Because I would like to throw out there that she's always brought up as this strong female character in science fiction. But I think she's a pretty shitty mom, a pretty shitty parent. And, yeah, she does know the truth about the robot and the upcoming Armageddon. But I think she isn't that strong. If she was stronger, she would have found out a way to do it herself. No, not herself, just... I don't think she would have went down the way she did. I think she's too unstable to be considered a, strong female character.
What?
Just because she's physically strong and has tactical knowledge, she's not a... like Princess Leia has all those, and she's still able to function as a human being. She doesn't need to be locked up and medicated and isn't neglectful of the important people. She can balance things better, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I think Sarah Connor is a pretty shitty mom, and essentially ruined her son's life.
No, I agree with that. I mean, I don't think that's fair. I think there are so many, male characters that are equally as bad parents or people, but they're still good people. But
but they're not lauded as like people go Ripley and Princess Leia and Sarah Connor. I don't think Sarah Connor, in the context of the film, I guess.
Well, that's the point of the film. The point is that she forgot. She essentially, you're right. She abandoned her kid, and especially when they go and save her, and she's chastising him. But then after, even after all that, he goes and keeps her from killing someone. And she finally says, "I love you." And he's like, "You have to trust me," and she finally trusts him. Like up until that point, she was a really shitty mom, obviously, because she was fucking locked up. But she finally comes to a term like, okay, well, my kid's a fucking person. He's not just this thing that I have to protect to save mankind. She actually is like, okay, I love you, I trust you. You helped me, you saved me, you're a good person. And I think the growth of that character is a huge part of T2.
I thought she was just more compelling in the first film.
You thought she was what?
More compelling in the first film. I guess what I want to clarify is I don't think she's a bad character.
Right.
Like, in the real world. I just think in the realm of the film, she's just not... I don't know. I could see how someone would look to Ripley and go, that's a badass woman. She, did whatever she had to do. Or Princess Leia, but I just look at Sarah Connor as like, you're just like a really emotionally imbalanced person with a gun. And
in her defense, she was terrorized by a time-traveling robot from the future. So
they killed her baby's father.
I've been waiting to fucking put my point in, and you just fucking jump in and nutshell it.
I'm so sorry.
You're a son of a bitch. But I'm gonna make you all sit through my longer point. You tell me this right now, Jeff. You tell me that if a fucking robot doesn't travel back through time, try to fucking kill your ass, you witness this motherfucker take out an entire fucking police precinct, chase you down, while at the same time, you're fucking your son, you're not even born yet son's best friend from the future. And you tell me you don't end up in a fucking mental institution.
Duly noted, but she didn't have to ruin John Connor's life.
I think she was trying to protect him, though, by all means necessary. That's why
she was trying.
I think she failed, though.
What she was trying to do before the mental institution, and you kind of get the gist of it as they talk about it lightly. She was trying to train him from like 3 to be this fucking general that he never
Where the
really
fuck
is
did she?
be.
Here's the thing, though. Where does she get this skill? It says she went to Mexico and fucked all these dudes for weapons and some training, but like. Realistically, she goes from being like scared in the first movie for her life, and then a couple years later, she's all of a sudden this trained thing. I don't think
that's kind of what I was
gonna say. I don't think she would believably transition from
the
victim that she is in the first film to the Sarah Connor we see in T2. I don't think any person would emotionally be able to handle.
Well, honestly, man,
that kind of responsibility. She would have went from
the transition period, the time frame is. About
10 years.
Yeah, maybe a little bit longer because he's a little older than 10 in the movie, isn't he?
12, isn't he?
Yeah. So you're talking about.
The movie takes place in 1995.
12 plus 9 months.
You're talking about 13 years in the time frame they're trying to go with, even though the time frame doesn't match up. But it's movies, so it doesn't matter if the time frame matches up or not.
Only for Empire Strikes Back does it matter.
Before we continue talking, can I just my award for winning this week?
Yeah, it's pretty much stupid to keep arguing this point. Dustin won, flat out. Dion, great argument as always. You still are the champion, but you definitely, Dustin, you definitely won this week. Great points all around on the board. I mean, everyone respects and loves T2, but I think you were able to make us care more about a film we already loved.
Nope.
And I think that's harder to do. I think it'd be easier for someone to say, I think... Beverly Hills Cop 2 is this unsung great sequel, and then I bring up all these points and you go, you really were right. No, I think when everyone already kisses Terminator 2's ass, to have more points to respect it for, it was just a better argument, I thought.
Thank you.
So Dustin gets the point.
Woo!
So guys, let's just jump right back into where we were before, I fucked up and forgot. We were talking about 90s cartoons. We had left on the point that you could have network cartoons versus cable, and Dion and I guess, were you on this, Brian, too? You felt that the network shows were superior in quality to the cable shows?
I actually didn't get to answer that yet, but yes, the network TV shows were actually a lot better than the cable kids TV shows back then.
Give me a comparison. Do you so obviously let's just take Batman the animated series out because it's gonna trump every show we talk about, live action or animated.
Right.
I watched it the other day, and it's timeless.
It is.
You know, Spider-Man was a cool cartoon in the '90s, and I watched it every fucking day. I would watch it on repeat if I had the option back then. But you watch that; it's a very dated cartoon, not just animation style, but we were talking about relevancy to the time something was made. That movie was made, that cartoon was made during the time where everyone was so politically correct with kids shows on network television that there was no violence. I mean, Spider-Man was not allowed to throw a punch.
Yeah.
There were no real guns. I watched Batman yesterday, and they took a machine gun, a Tommy gun, and shot out a chunk of ice and tried to kill Batman. In Spider-Man, they use a laser gun, or they'll use like a sonic blast or something stupid. I think that really dates and hurts that show.
I will tell you this though: you also have to look at everything but the final season of X-Men. The X-Men get down. There's all kinds of violence throughout X-Men.
I was to say, I watched the crap out of X-Men.
A main character dies in the first episode. Talk about some heavy shit.
Plus, you have Wolverine drinking beer like throughout the show.
Yeah,
he went to a bar.
Look, remember the first? I believe it is in the first episode where people are screaming "No more mutants" and start throwing bricks and cans at these people that are just trying to get in their apartment safely.
There were a lot of heavy themes with X-Men, which I didn't understand as a kid. I would watch the show because I liked Cyclops and I wanted to see fights and hear that cool theme song.
Yeah, let's face it. The X-Men in a nutshell is all about diversity and how people that are different are treated.
I agree. That's the that's just the X-Men franchise in general.
Yeah.
Can I go on a tangent really quick?
Yes.
Please do.
My first exposure to the X-Men cartoon was Pizza Hut with their kids' meals. They released 2 episodes per tape on VHS, and I also remember around that time McDonald's, they had like Charlotte's Web, Wayne's World, and 2 other films they would give with kids' meals. You don't see that anymore.
No, hell no.
What was that last movie?
Dustin, you just summed up my childhood right there, dude, because I had both X-Men cassettes, and then I still have the little comic that came with it down on my dining room table for some reason. It's got Cyclops with like a burning hand, and he's screaming. It's got that shitty 90s comic artwork. And you used to get a personal pan pizza. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember watching that show. I think it debuted at night, and I remember catching it early. But when you brought up the other thing, I hadn't thought about that in a while. The fucking McDonald's tapes.
Yeah, man. Holy
you don't
shit.
see that with companies anymore, and that's another reason the 90s kicked ass. You could go to McDonald's, get a Happy Meal and fucking Wayne's World on VHS.
Dustin, that's how I got into Back to the Future as a kid. My mom bought me Back to the Future from McDonald's.
Nice.
I had never seen or heard of that movie. She bought it for me. She also bought me Wayne's World during that other promotion. I think Addams Family was the other movie you're talking about.
You got it.
List.
That's it.
Had to be Addams Family.
Not gonna lie, dude. Charlotte's Web was the one from like '89.
Okay. See, I can't remember. I just remember for whatever reason that there were 4 that my house had from McDonald's, and that was one of them.
Because they had the little printing thing on the back that said it had the M.
Yeah, because they did like a bunch of Charlotte Web toys with it too in the kids' meals.
I remember that, and that's how I got into Wayne's World, which I can argue is one of the best '90s movies ever. Do you guys want to stop talking about cartoons and talk about movies?
Yeah, really quick.
I have cartoons for a little bit longer.
What are you saying, Dustin?
I have to get going. Just wanted to say I appreciate you guys letting me be on the show this week.
Oh, anytime. You're a world-class bullshitter.
I'm glad you could stop
Awesome.
staring at dicks long enough to be here.
All right, well, you guys have a good night.
All right,
You
Dustin.
too, Dustin. We will talk to you next week, my
All
friend.
right, see ya.
Happy birthday.
See ya. Okay, so Phil is resetting his internet.
Phil will be back.
Brian, you wanted to talk about the cartoons for a minute longer.
Yeah, I mean, you can touch points with all the cartoons, but you know the lineups were great on network TV, and there were some really raunchy cartoons on cable too.
Oh fuck yeah, Ren and Stimpy.
Ren and Stimpy was
I
the
love
shit,
Ren and Stimpy.
and Ren and Stimpy was on 64 too, but it was on late. It was on at like 8 p.m.
Was that later on?
Yeah, 8 in the evening. Yeah, they actually started with season 1 when it was on like season 3 on cable.
Oh, okay.
And fucking like Real Monsters. That I've actually been watching that on Netflix here and there from time to time. The cartoon was stupid raunchy, and yeah,
it was weird. I used to not like it.
I still
loved
love
that
it.
show.
You like it, Dan?
I loved that show.
Do you identify with the guy that holds his eyes above his head?
Yes, Dan identifies with Crumb.
Does he have a breathing problem?
Yes.
He has very hairy armpits, so I guess he's more like Brian.
My armpits are not that hairy.
I don't know. I've never seen him, and I never will. I'm just going by your giant beard.
Which I miss my beard being like 3 times the size it is now.
And why don't you grow it out?
I'm still looking for a new job. Are we?
Fair enough,
By the
fair
way, are
enough.
we editing this out?
No.
Waiting for Phil? Oh, we're just like back to bullshitting about normal shit outside of the 90s. Got it.
Yeah. I was waiting for Dion to get his new beard.
Okay.
It's
There it
been
is.
got, baby.
Yeah, I mean, there are some forgotten cartoons that I'm going to bring up that people won't remember. Like, there was a show called Botsmaster. That was a cool show. It had a cool theme song. It even had a good toy line, and I used to watch that all the time. James Bond Jr. Favorite... Is that my... No.
That was a
Top 5
Fox
favorite
Saturday
90s.
lineup, wasn't it?
That was... not Saturday lineup. It was on every morning at 6 a.m.
Okay.
My mom used to get up and tape that show for me. And, I loved the fuck out of it. I know the theme song by heart still. I bought the toys as a kid. I actually rebought them when I turned 16. I found them at a toy store for $1 each. That's a show, that's number 1 on my list of shows I would love to have on DVD. If someone said, Jeff, name a show that you want that's not available, I'm going with fucking James Bond Jr.
Oh, I do have the Tick season 1 and 2 on DVD, which is another amazing network cartoon.
I love the
Dude,
That's a
the
show-
chick was the shit, and then and obviously it was better than the live action show. But that was my favorite cartoon for years. The Tick and Arthur, and he would jump from building. I fucking loved it.
Dude, I've got a
See,
ton
I
of the
didn't
comic
like it
books
back
too.
then. Now I love it. It took me years to appreciate, so I guess I should apologize for that.
You should be ashamed.
All right, so we have the Doctor back on. Dr. Phil, are there any other cartoons that you would like to mention?
Well, I don't know what I missed, but
You missed the end of the world and
Oh.
the rebirth
As we
of a
know it.
new one.
son of a bitch.
That's what happens when
So-
you miss Real Monsters.
I love that show. I used to play that Sega game all the time.
I forgot you were a Sega kid.
I was a Sega kid.
I technically had a Sega Genesis before Super Nintendo.
Yeah, I was a
Uh.
Sega kid. I didn't have a Super Nintendo until like 2000.
Technically, it's not my Super Nintendo. I stole it from my brother.
You thieving bastard.
America.
My father left me his Sega when he passed away, so that was
Sega.
my outlet. Pokemon, I talked about it a little bit before. That was big when I was a kid growing up. That
Phil, we're essentially the same age, so
that was
I
my
agree.
that when I was a kid, that was my crack. I was out in the front. I remember I was out in the front yard. I had found golf balls in the woods, and I had painted them into little Pokeballs, and I was throwing them around.
That sounds like the most Phil thing to do ever.
That is pretty Phil.
Go, Wilson! Golf balls, go!
See,
Title is
everyone
I
was-
Choose You.
Everyone loved Pokemon. I was in the Digimon. So, 'cause
I love
Digimon was my jam.
Yeah, I specifically
Digital
picked Digimon
Monsters.
because I hated Pokemon. Everyone liked Pokemon. And then I was like, well, I'm going to watch Digimon. And I was in the Digimon while I was on. Obviously, didn't have the staying power as Pokemon, but I fucking loved Digimon.
Did you ever play the PlayStation Digimon games?
I did. A friend let me borrow it. I played the first one, just Digimon. But yeah, I fucking love that game.
Those games were not bad at all, actually. I wish they would have kept
Oh,
going.
yeah.
I would still play them
Oh.
if they put a new one out tomorrow. I'd go buy it.
I might too. Those were fucking.
Oh.
God, that was a good ass show.
The theme song is what I remember the most. So
Everybody
Digimon?
remembers the theme song.
yeah, and you know what? Everyone was called like something Mon, right? So it'd be like
Mon
Pencil
Mon.
On and
Dildo Mon.
Mon.
Angelmon and Cactusmon. Yeah.
At least they could talk. Pokemon would just say their names over and over.
And you want to
yeah.
choke them.
That wouldn't be annoying at all.
That would
Well-
be like, Dan coming into the shop one day, just going, Dan.
Dan.
No offense, Dan. I think I would just beat you to death with the taser.
If I'm saying
So-
my name repeatedly, I want somebody to beat me to death.
I mean,
I have a question. Does that mean Bob Dole was a Pokemon? Because he would
Bob
always say
Dole
Bob
is a
Dole, Bob
Pokemon.
Dole.
no, that
Yes.
means Bob Dole was having a stroke.
Bob Dole.
Bob Dole.
Dolemon.
Charizard.
Bob Dolemon.
Bob Dole.
Bob Dolemon?
Bob Dole.
Dolemon.
Sounds like Dolomite. Oh my god.
Oh.
So, you guys were bringing up Pokemon. What about the damn cards? Who had them?
I
I
have
actually had I had the first edition Pokemon cards for a little while. I got into the game, I played for like 2 weeks, and then I saw a couple of older kids in the lunchroom playing something else. I'm like, what's this? And there was my Magic the Gathering addiction.
Oh god, I forgot. I had all the Pokemon at the time, so all 151, all the cards. I had the Charizard, the Mew, the Ancient Mew, Mewtwo, all that bullshit. I never played a single game of Pokemon ever. I just collected the cards.
I never played
Some
the card
people
game
do
either.
that. I played
I
the
still
card
got
game
every
for
one
like
of them
2
in a
weeks.
binder.
I
Do
had
you have a? My
I had a
bad.
good
go on.
version for the Game Boy. That was my extend into Pokemon. I remember we had an end of the year party, and my mom bought a bunch of Pokemon cards, like the cheap ones at the gas station for the kids that were coming over, and I had like 5 cards ever, and I never got in the cards. I thought it was the dumbest fucking thing. I remember too, it was a big deal when we were kids, when kids would steal other kids' Pokemon cards.
There was some douchebag that tried to steal mine at school, and I figured out it was him, and I told the teacher, and I got all my shit back. Fuck you, Mark. That's all I'm saying.
You said you still have those cards, right, Jeff?
Yep, they're right behind me.
Do you have a foil Charizard without a shadow?
I do.
I have a foiled Charizard. I don't know if there's a shadow. I'm not going to pull it out right
I'm
now.
saying
also
if there's
stole
no
some
shadow,
pieces.
you got a nice little fucking mini piece sitting behind you, dude.
Well, maybe I do. I hope I do. I have, but if there's a foil version of it, I got it. I even got an Italian Blastoise.
Yeah, the foil versions that don't have the shadow for Charizard. Last time I checked, those were going for like 1,500.
Well, I
Ooh,
might
I
pull
didn't
it
know
out
they
and
were
look
worth
now.
that much.
Yeah, they were like
I'll say
stupid
this.
high.
The only Pokemon card that I had to buy independent. Remember the stores that would sell Pokemon cards? The only store I went to buy it, or the only card I bought from the store like that was Alakazam. It was like $20, and it was the last card I needed. So, and Charizard was easy. I got him in a booster pack.
So did I.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much all there is to say about Pokemon cards. They're still out, which is weird.
Yeah.
I won't even say it's phenomenal at the shelf. They're fucking weird. I don't think the people that I interact with that are into Pokemon still, like an adult, are either like girls that it's passable because you don't want to talk shit about a woman, but then there's those nerdy dudes that just don't have a clue.
Dustin talks
Like
shit
the
about women.
Yu-Gi-Oh players that are grown-ass men and sit there and play Pokemon in between rounds.
The guys that have never seen a woman's butt cheeks in person.
Right?
Or if they do, they were his moms or his sisters.
Ugh.
Have you noticed, no offense, Phil, but you've been awfully quiet since we started talking shit about people that still play Pokemon. Did Phil die?
The doctor is out, I guess. Well, I've had my fill of Pokemon.
So let's move on to Pogs.
Oh fuck, those were shit. I'll say I have one sentence to say. I had Pogs. I hated Pogs. That's it.
Anyone? Fuck Pogs, man.
Dude, I still have my Pogs. I know exactly where they are.
Me and my sister had over 5,000 fucking Pogs, and each of us had like
Jesus.
20 different fucking slammers.
I might have 50.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Did you wear the fucking nanny's face when you sliced it off her skull too?
Well, it's good to know that one of us was rich enough to have a fucking nanny, and it's the black guy and not the white guy.
I didn't have a nanny. Oh, my white friends did.
Well,
I
well,
I
fuck
don't
your
know
white friends.
anyone with a nanny.
I had a nanny.
Well, fuck you too,
You
Dan.
would. You would. We can't.
I
leave
didn't.
you, little
I'm
doing
baby.
it
just
with
giving
myself.
myself a nanny.
You want to know what my nanny was when I was a kid?
Your hand.
The fucking TV.
Do you remember that show, The Nanny, with Fran
Yeah.
Drescher?
Oh,
Mr. Sheffield.
I do hate that laugh. I do hate that show. But as a kid, obviously, because that was when my obsession with Sigourney Weaver was blossoming. I did also like Fran Drescher. I was like, she wears those. Her and Pam from Married with Children. I used to be like, oh my god, that booty be calling me.
Yeah, she's a good-looking woman, really.
As long as she shut the fuck up, I'd bang the shit out of Fran Drescher.
I don't think that's her. I don't think that's her real voice.
No, it's not.
I really don't care. She just needs to be quiet. If you heard that laugh for a split second while you were fucking her, that's a wrap. You're done. You just want to choke her now.
Damn, she is 58 years old, dude.
Jeez.
And she still looks awesome. If you go to her website...
You're fucking great, Dan.
I went to her website. It's shitty.
I assume that it would be.
Well, since we're on the topic of 90s TV shows, I'm going to say this. The best show of the 90s, hands down, was The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Bang.
There's no argument.
It has the best TV theme song of all time. I won't even hear an argument for any other show.
Okay.
I guarantee you right now, if I started singing the song, everyone could join in, and we could get the shit going.
So chilling out, Max, and relaxing on the...
Not even the beginning.
Now, this is a story.
All about how...
My life got turned upside
down.
And I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there.
Let me tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air.
Only you can become the town of Bel Air.
Yes, only I could. But only with Phil
In West Philadelphia, born and raised.
On the playground.
Spend most of my days
chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool and
Shoot
all.
some b-ball outside of the school.
When a couple of guys
they were up to no good.
Started making trouble in my neighborhood.
I got one little fight. My mom got scared.
Yeah, mommy, what's your auntie and uncle in Bel Air?
I begged and pleaded with her day after day, but she packed my suitcase and sent me on my way.
She gave me a kiss, and then she gave me my ticket. I put my Walkman on. I said I might as well kick it.
That's not actually
First
on the
class.
show.
Yo, this is bad. Drinking orange juice out of a champagne glass?
That's the song.
Is this what the people of Bel Air are living like? This
Must
might
be
be all right. But wait, I hear they're prissy, bourgeois, and all that. Is this the type of place that they shun this cool cat?
I don't think so. See what I get there.
Hope they're prepared for the Prince of Bel Air. See, I knew it. Everyone knows the fucking song. It's a phenomenal show. Carlton steals it every week.
It's true, but the only song that I think would rival its powers was a song.
Friends theme?
Fuck you. Was driven on powers of TGIF, and that show was Boy Meets World.
That show
Which
was
one?
pretty fucking...
Which one?
Which theme?
Yeah.
There's like 8 of them.
Boy Meets World? I just said Boy Meets World.
No,
There's
which
more than
Boy
one.
Meets World theme? There's more than one theme, dude.
Which what?
There's more than one Boy Meets World's theme. There's the guitar one that's kind of cool. Then there's the shitty one where the guy's like, "And the Boy Meets World," and then there's another
the
one.
Theme. I'm saying the show overall. I wasn't saying the theme. The Fresh Prince of Bel Air theme cannot be rival. I'm saying as a show.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a better theme song.
Oh no, dude, no one can fuck. Dude, of the '90s,
Yeah,
Bel Air
Fresh Prince
hands
of Bel Air's
down.
theme song wins it. But it's not exactly... There are shows that comp with it and maybe are even slightly better.
Like what? Enlighten me.
Boy Meets World, like Dion said, was fucking great. TJF had an amazing lineup back in the 90s.
Yep.
You can't count Full House since it started in the
No,
80s.
fuck Full House. Dude, Family Matters was that shit.
Didn't Fresh Prince
Family
of Bel-Air
Matters started
start
in the 80s too, I think. No, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is a 90s
No
show. Dude.
responses from Family Matters, or am I frozen?
No, I think Family Matters started in the 80s. That's why I've discounted it.
Did Family Matters start in the
Officer
80s?
I'm looking it up right now.
So am I.
Family
Bel Air
Matters
started in '89.
Family Matters, 1989.
Okay, and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is like 91. The Fresh Prince
Family
of Bel-Air
Matters.
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air 1990, so it's a 90s
Ooh,
show.
that's a '90s show.
Fully 90 to 96.
Yep.
And it has a 96% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes, so it should be fresh. Prince.
Oh, get out.
I can't get out. I'm in my office. But what are some other shows you guys watched?
Yeah, man. Boy Meets
we weren't
World
only
is
watching
very-
kiddie shows.
Yep. Season
Now, are you
9
telling me
was
that because you
98.
Do you like Boy Meets World because of Hillary, or did you like it back in the day?
Well, no, I mean, I actually watched it back in the day, but way before I met Hillary, I was a huge fan of TGIF. Obviously, it was, the two big shows of TGIF for me were Family Matters when it was good and Boy Meets World. I actually, I watched Boy Meets World up until the end of the show. I mean, I stuck with that show while it was on, and I mean, and obviously not a lot for me. For a lot of kids, it's a very, very Caucasian show. But it was, I had a lot in common with Corey. I had my Topanga in middle school, so I loved that show.
So
well, TGIF started in 1989.
Yep.
Which I'm obviously not counting out your thing, but my personal favorite TGIF show was Perfect Strangers. Just throwing that out there.
Oh, Perfect Strangers. God, I used to hate the show.
Yes, Balky Bartakamus, a.k.a. Sal.
And I love the theme song. And then what was the other one? Step by Step.
Oh God, I used to watch the shit out of the show. So embarrassed.
Day
by day.
So, gentlemen, can we
fresh start over?
I didn't like that
different
show.
hand to play.
People we love.
Can we agree on one thing, though, gentlemen? Even though most of the shows on TGIF that we remember started in '89, that it was a major part of the fucking '90s and very memorable.
Oh, dude, I mean, I'm only nitpicking about Family Matters. That is like a very 90s show. I mean, Urkel was a huge hallmark of the... Urkel was as big as Mr. T was, just, not physically.
Right.
I mean, they were just... I mean, I'm not trying to discredit either guy, but they were kind of like a flash-in-the-pan celebrity, blink and you miss them type of deal. In the mid-'80s, Mr. T was huge.
Yep.
He mainlined WrestleMania. I mean, he was in all kinds of shit. Steve Urkel had a doll. He had
Family Matters went until
trading
1998.
Family Matters was a really good show underneath it all. I think it got better once it became the Urkel
then when
show.
they went to Disney World or whatever.
It became great when it was Urkel.
I remember the Disney World one. Do you remember when they went to France?
Yeah, because that was...
He became Stefan Urkel.
He did it for both. He was Stefan when he proposed to Laura in Disney World. Then he became Stefan when they went to France.
I just remember all the TGIF shows since they were on ABC. They all went to Disney because it was owned, by Disney, all of it. And I just loved those episodes. Like, isn't there an episode of Boy Meets World where Corey and Topanga break up and then they get back together at Disney
I
World?
believe so.
Well, that's not one episode. That's a series because he broke up with her and then they went on a school trip. Because I think it was 2 episodes, and they broke up. They went on a school trip, and then like Corey had a dream that because it was actually a Scream clone. So they were at like the fucking resort, and I think it was literally someone in a Scream mask, and then he wakes up or whatever, and then they go to Disney World, and they end up getting back together.
All right, so I know I'm gonna pay for this, and you fucking cocksuckers are gonna have shit to say about it, except for maybe you, Dion. But I'm not even gonna lie, dude. Just for nostalgia factor, I watched the first episode of Girl Meets World when it debuted on Disney.
Oh, you motherfucker! Why?
I just want to remember Topanga as being that hot '90s version, not the modern day version. Who's probably still great looking.
She's still gorgeous. I'd still fuck the shit out of her.
Oh yeah.
I will admit though, before I give you too much shit, Hillary was on a kick where she was watching. So I did end up. After we recorded it, she watched it finally, and she was like, we'll watch it together. So I did see the first episode. I won't give you too much shit for it. But
did you cry?
She almost.
Were you touched?
She got Mr. Feeney touched us.
Show us on the doll where Mr. Feeney touched you.
Bend over. Can you believe he's the voice of Kit from Knight Rider?
Right? Like what the?
Yeah.
Puerto Ricans are lazy, Michael. What was that from?
I will admit that was one of the but that was one of the funny parts of Ted 2 when it was fucking Kit. Get the fuck out of here, man! Get the fuck out!
I honestly thought in Ted 2 they were going to have Beetlejuice pop up, and that would have made that my favorite movie of the year.
That was the funniest part of that whole movie. Like, stop fucking around, man. You are playing with powers that you do not understand. Just cut the shit.
Okay, so we all loved TGIF. I mean, looking back, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was just, I think, better written. Because the TGIF shows had, like, let's say they were there are 100 different TGIF scripts. First, Full House would do it. Then Step by Step would do it. Then Boy Meets World would do it. Then Hanging with Mr. Cooper would do it. Then, Sister would do it. Then the dinosaurs would do it. I'm just saying it was all like, there are the same episodes from each show. Like Uncle Jesse, messed up and caused something to happen with DJ. Well, over in Family Matters, Eddie fucked up the car and caused a problem for Laura. And then in Sister,
they always just
sister
fuck shit
caused
up.
a problem for the other sister. It's just like, whatever.
I love that show, by the way. The dinosaurs.
Sister?
No, the dinosaurs.
One of the best early WB shows. God, I miss the WB too. God damn.
I do too. Now that was dude. There were so many great. Remember when UPN was actually watchable in the 90s?
Yeah, right when they got and then they got SmackDown at the end of the fucking decade.
We can talk about wrestling the closer we get to the end of the episode, dude. The 90s, man, you had great wrestling, you had great music, movies, everything. This decade was fucking stacked.
It was.
And just to bring it to the real world for a second, maybe we were kids, but in general, we weren't really dealing with a lot of the problems we have today.
Oh,
no.
It was a lot safer. It was a safer world. And it would be really cool to live.
When I was a kid, it was still perfectly acceptable to let your kid run around with their friends through the entire fucking neighborhood. It was still acceptable for your goddamn neighbor to whoop your ass, take you home, tell your parents what the fuck you did, and they'd whoop your ass again.
I don't know. My parents,
It was never safe for me to run around in my neighborhood.
I never got beat by my neighbors.
I didn't have neighbors.
I didn't either.
I live on an island.
I lived in the country.
Jeff lives on a famous Bond island somewhere.
Yeah, Phuket. I live in Thailand now. I would never move to. I was gonna put this on the air. I will never live in Asia. Just saying. That just doesn't interest me at all.
If I was rich, I'd live in Asia.
Too much rice.
Why? What's in it? I mean, you can move to Asia now and be rich.
Yeah, but still, I mean, like if you could live in like the upper class part of like Hong Kong or Singapore, those are some nice ass fucking cities, and they
don't have toilets. They poop in holes in the floor.
There are people in America that poop in holes in the fucking floor, but
that's a deal breaker for me.
Phil, we know you poop in a hole.
Spend $100, buy a damn toilet.
And Phil will come and install it for you for free.
No, I won't.
If you bring him out there.
Don't volunteer me for stupid shit.
He'll also use it for the first time for free.
And clog it up for the first time for free.
It's stupid, but every time I see a brand new store open up, I always wonder if I could be the first guy to shit there. And it never happens. Like, they opened at UDF in Delhi, and I was like, Mom, I'm going to try to be the first guy to ever take a dump at UDF. But every time I'd pass it, I didn't have to shit.
All right, so Jeff, if I ever open up a shop, I will make sure that nobody else gets to take a shit until you do.
You are my hero and my new best friend, and
pretty shitty friend.
We'll be friends for life now. Just shut up!
My sister's friend Tom insisted on being the first one to pee at her house when they moved in. So instead of using the bathroom, he went and peed on the tree in the backyard in front of the neighbors.
Oh, Tom's a classy guy.
What a story, Mike.
You can say that again.
Hello, doggy.
So we've hit our cartoons and TV shows. What about movies, guys? You were younger, so I'm sure we had to watch a lot of kids' movies in the 90s. Before we talk about the grown-up shit, what were some kids' movies you watched in the 90s, guys?
A Kid in King Arthur's Court was one of my favorite fucking movies.
I saw that in theaters.
Okay,
What?
I watched.
Yep.
I watched Casper. My bad. Go on, Dion.
No, I was just saying I'm jealous. Go ahead, man.
I saw Casper in theaters too.
I watched Casper like 100 times because I had fallen in love with Christina Ricci.
I did too.
I still like Christina Ricci.
I
She's a very
still
good-looking
think
woman.
that she's going to be my future ex-wife.
She's not that crazy yet.
No, or desperate.
Or depressed.
Well, fuck you too, Jeff.
Because I love.
I expected out of Phil, but it cuts a little deeper from you.
All right, Brian, I'm sorry. I actually, all joking aside, I know how to contact her, so
All right.
maybe we can work something out for you. That's not even a joke.
Do you just offer her $20 to be on the show, and she's like, "Holy shit, I'll be there."
Because I'm friends with Veronica, I could get Corey Feldman on our show,
Corey Feldman
or
or
possibly,
Christina Ricci, do it.
I'd rather have Corey.
or Sean Astin. You'd rather have what?
I'd rather have the other Corey, the one that's dead.
Oh, that's gonna take some digging.
I'd rather have him on the show.
On point.
Oh, that was bad.
I know you're talking about
Jesse-
kids' movies, but nobody mentioned Power Rangers.
The movie was terrible.
No, I'm talking about the TV show.
We mentioned that as soon as we started talking.
Power Rangers.
To be fair, Phil, I was gonna give a whole 4-hour segment on why the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was the '90s.
Oh, okay.
But we can go now. That was the show that captivated me for not the entire decade. Once they switched to Zeo, I said fuck it. But when they were Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, if you would have known me back then, that's all I wanted to do. I would get up, I would watch Power Rangers, I'd go to kindergarten, I'd come home and play with my Power Rangers, and I'd watch the show and go to sleep and dream about Power
So then, Jeff, you remember the epic not 8 p.m. showing of Power Rangers where they lost their Zords and got new ones, right?
I vividly remember where I was when I watched that episode. I was at my grandma's house, which is now my house, and we watched it in the living room, and I was distraught to see these Zords go down. But one little unique story. I was out with my aunt about a week before that aired, and I saw a Power Ranger toy that I didn't notice. It wasn't on the show, and at the time I had every Power Ranger toy that was out. So, you can imagine that I was like, holy shit, what is this? So I told my mom. She took me out to a Toys R Us and bought it for me, and I had this toy that said Power Rangers on it, but wasn't a part of the show, so I had no clue when said toy was going to debut. And then the episode aired, and I had the Red Dragon Zord, and shit was good.
I'm not gonna lie though, I did like the Ninja Zords too.
I do too. I think that as somebody that had all the toys, the Ninja Zord was the most functional because it wouldn't fall apart. Like the Thunder Zords looked cool, but you couldn't even move the fucking toy. Like the legs were stationary, and the arms, like if you moved it, the cover would pop off and you would drop his sword. So
yeah,
that's just being nitpicky.
The Ninja Megazord was the only one I ever owned.
Oh, okay. That was the last Power Ranger toy I bought as a kid.
I never owned a Megazord.
I can look at the original Megazord right now on my shelf.
I used to love my one of the kids in my neighborhood had one of those, and he would let me borrow it, and then I would keep it for like 3 weeks, and he'd be like coming over to my house, like, you need to give that back, or I'm gonna beat the crap out of you. I was like, oh.
And you hate him.
It was the Megazord, man. Shit was serious.
Hey, Phil, you better check that Megazord in before you wreck yourself, fool.
I'm sorry, Brian. I didn't hear you because my internet's destroyed.
Oh, he was being sincere. No, I think
all I
like the
heard
original
was...
Megazord was the coolest. Do you guys like the original Megazord at all? Is it because it's not getting any love? I've heard.
No, I mean the original Megazord is my favorite Megazord. I did like the Ninja Megazord from the movie. That's the one that I had with the detachable Falcon from the back. I loved that
Ninja Mega Falcon Zord.
It was
my favorite.
So great, so awesome. But I loved it. I didn't have the Megazord, but I had the individual Zords. Before they couldn't be Megazords, but they were like little cars. I fucking love the original Megazord. Love it.
Christmas '93 is this mythical Christmas I always talk about with my mom. I got like all 6 Power Rangers and the Zords and Titanus, which was a dumb gift, but Titanus was cool, but it was so big it was hard to carry around as a little kid, so I never used it. But she bought me the wrong Megazord, and it wouldn't transform, and I was heartbroken. I thought the toy was broken itself, because it was just like a Megazord action figure without the transforming parts. And then one day she just found the other one and bought it, and that was the coolest toy ever.
Oh, I remember it wasn't '93. I think it was right after the movie, and so we never had the movie. We would always watch it when it came on TV, like especially when it would come on at night. But I remember that because that might have been that was our birthday when I got the Ninja Zord, and oh my god, I remember losing my absolute shit over it because it was right after the movie came out. Man, that's a very fond memory.
You know what else you had, Dion, when you got that Ninja Megazord?
What?
The Batman Forever Batmobile.
Fuck yes.
I still got mine. It's such a cool toy.
One of the best. One of the best. Oh my god.
I saw a guy selling one mint out of package for $20.
Oh, I'd have bought that shit.
Had I not completed mine, I would have bought it.
Fuck yeah. That was such a great toy. The fucking blue lights and the missile in the middle and oh my god. Even though the fins always fell off. And then I remember I had the Batman Forever oh my god, that was a great fucking toy. Great fucking movie.
Yeah, I was about to say, that movie gets shit on. That isn't the bad one. It's Batman and Robin that's the bad one.
Right. And retroactive
Kind of bad.
Because Forever has signs of quality. There was actually a deeper story and they filmed a lot of the deeper story elements with Bruce Wayne dealing with the guilt of his parents, but they cut it out to make it more accessible to children. But I think Forever is the most balanced of the original four for either adults or children. Because there's a story going on with Bruce and Chase Meridian, and that, that interests the adults, but then the kids are like wanting to see Riddler and Two-Face versus Batman and Robin, so it was a spectacle for all ages, and Batman and Robin sucks dick.
It does, even though I love Batman and Robin because it's so horrible, but which is also a great 90s movie. But plus, especially for Batman Forever, I mean, Val Kilmer is definitely up there as far as Batman's. I mean, he was very stoic and he's Batman. He was very charismatic as Bruce Wayne. And then I give Nicole Kidman a lot of shit, but they had some serious chemistry in that movie.
And she looked
She
awesome.
was gorgeous in that movie.
I didn't realize that was her. Like, when I was a little kid, she was just some pretty blonde lady. And then I saw other movies, I'm like, wait, that's the lady from Batman? She got old.
Yeah, fast.
You know what else is a great 90s movie, and I'm sure we all watched as kids, was The Mighty Ducks.
Oh, my.
Yes.
Hill and I had a Mighty Ducks marathon when they were on Netflix.
Never seen it.
Quack,
Gordon Bombay
Quack.
is my favorite fictional
Quack.
character.
quack,
Quack.
quack,
Quack.
quack, 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 quack.
The
Oh, the hockey movie. Yeah, I've seen it.
There you go, Phil.
Good. Welcome to the
Like,
90s.
wait, what movie are you talking about?
Emilio
The porno.
Goldberg, Goldberg.
If there is a movie, a
Yeah,
porno
Goldberg
movie called The
chant.
Mighty Ducks, I really don't want to see it.
The Mighty Fucks.
D2, The Mighty
All anal
Dicks.
Final check. I'd watch that movie.
DP, The Mighty Dicks.
Yep.
Yeah, the original Goldberg
Hey.
chant was in Mighty Ducks.
Hey Dan, I just found your calling in life.
Huh.
You're gonna name shitty porn sequels for money.
Done.
Quit your job, and I'll finance these said movies, and then you'll just watch it and name it.
I don't even need to watch it. Give me a title.
It'll just be untitled Disney-based porno film starring who's popular? Lisa Ann.
Can I direct?
I love Stan.
I thought you would want to like be an extra. You can be the producer, man. You can just test out the women before the show
I'm
starts.
okay with that.
That way you don't have to show your ass on film.
Nobody wants to see my
I was
ass.
just saying nobody wants to see that.
Nobody wants to see Phil's ass either.
No, nobody
You know
wants
what's
to see
funny
that.
is this is the exact setup to a film called Bowfinger, which coincidentally came out in the 90s.
Yes.
Which is
Very
an
well
amazing
done.
fucking film. I just watched that like a month ago.
Bowfinger.
Have you ever seen Bowfinger, Phil?
No.
Oh,
Oh, you gotta
yes,
watch it.
seriously.
It's Steve Martin is a schlocky film director who wants to make one more big film, and Eddie Murphy plays the biggest actor in the world at the time, Kit Ramsey, and Steve Martin's like, if I can get Kit Ramsey in my film, I'll have a big hit and I can sell the movie. So they basically film Eddie Murphy doing everyday things, and these other actors walk up to him and talk to him and freak him out. And he thinks he's being abducted by aliens. It's so
a good
fucking
movie.
awesome.
That-
Alien love.
That sounds familiar. Maybe I have seen it.
He goes to the church. He goes to the site. They make fun of Scientology in it too. It's beautiful.
Mindhead.
You know what else?
I saw that in theaters.
Jeff, you know what else came out in the 90s?
What?
Happy Gilmore.
Oh my god, the greatest film of the 21st
Finally.
century.
The price is
Phil was only a month early on the 90s talk.
You say The Price is Wrong, bitch? That's the best line of that fucking movie.
Well, that's Billy Madison, but no, whatever.
Oh, no,
That's Happy Gilmore.
Oh, you're right. My bad.
Hey, Dion.
Hey, real quick, let's take a detour to the whole Adam Sandler was funny in the
Oh
90s.
my god.
Adam Sandler was the fucking man in the 90s.
Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, Waterboy. God, what the fuck?
Wedding Singer.
That was in the 90s too. Yeah.
And Big Daddy.
That was 99. That was 1999. Yep.
Yep.
God
I
damn.
was actually just talking about Adam Sandler movies with a coworker today.
Really? What was the conversation?
She had never seen Happy Gilmore. I was like, "That you need to
Punch
set
her in
that.
the face.
If there's one Happy Gilmore movie you need to, or one Adam Sandler movie you need to see, it's Happy Gilmore."
If there is one Happy Gilmore movie you need to see, it's Adam Sandler.
You know
I
what?
agree.
We just broke ground. We're on the Blu-ray cover of the next Happy Gilmore release.
Hey, Shooter. I believe your ball struck my foot.
Oh my guy! I met that guy, Richard Keel,
Yes.
Jaws.
He's actually pretty funny in real life, from what I've heard.
He was very intimidating.
And you can count on me waiting on you in the parking lot.
Ooh.
Oh.
Guns don't kill people. I kill people.
Hey, Happy, you'll never make that putt like you never made the NHL. You jackass.
You jackass!
The greatest scenes in those.
So, you want to go to Red Lobster? My treat.
It was
There you go.
Sizzler.
Shoot,
And then he goes,
Sandy,
well,
yes.
what about the Red Lobster? We can go to the Red Lobster.
You know what's fucking funny is we'll turn on a dime on Adam Sandler if we're talking about his modern day shit
Jesus.
because it is all shit. But the minute we bring up the good ones, we're all like 5 years old and just quoting some of the best.
I
movies.
think he has 16 Pixels has 16 nominations in the Razzies.
Hey, Phil.
Because it's Adam Sandler, not in the 90s.
Yeah.
Hey, Phil. Quit
What?
staring at me, Schwan.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Shampoo is
Shampoo is
better.
better.
No conditioner is better.
I do love how he
Business
almost busts out.
ethics.
He almost busts out laughing, in the right when he throws him in the tub. That's the part that does it for me. He's just like, "Hey, no, shampoo is better," and he almost busts out laughing. God damn.
Okay, guys, I have to have the immortal question answered. What's better, Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore?
Oh, God. I refuse to
I
answer.
died.
Bye, Dan. Rest in peace.
That was what killed Dan? Wow.
It's all it takes.
He's not good under pressure.
Under pressure.
Dun, ba,
Pushing
dun, ba,
down.
He had too much pressure.
I'll tell you what.
on his heart.
I think I'm going to have to go with Happy Gilmore.
I'm going with Happy Gilmore because I've seen that so many more times than Billy Madison.
I'll be the only person to vote Billy Madison. Fair enough.
Happy Gilmore's just so much more memorable.
I don't know.
That's not
man.
more memorable. I think that
It's got more heart to it.
for me, Billy Madison's very SNL. It's very SNL, and Happy Gilmore is actually. I mean, that's where it's like, okay, here's a character, here's a story, here's a progression. It's still fucking funny.
Well, hey,
I think Billy Madison's so dark,
It is.
You know?
It is.
and that's what I love. Like, oh, Doyle rule, and then they
Doyle,
fucking
your
go
entire
off a
family
cliff
could
and
go down. I
die.
gotta study.
well, hey,
Yeah,
anything's got to be better than fucking Adam Sandler in the 80s on The Cosby Show.
ew.
I don't even remember that. He probably got
To,
raped.
to counter that, sir, I will just say that no milk will ever be our milk. Okay? And I'd rather have a beer. I'm with Sideburns.
Here's more sloppy
So did
Joe.
none of you
Billy
realize?
passed the third grade.
Oh, what a glorious day.
Do
Are
you
you gonna not
have
finish it,
any
Dan?
more gum, more gum, more
More
gum,
gum?
more gum?
So did none of you realize that Adam Sandler was on The Cosby Show in the 80s?
No?
No, but I
Oh.
realized that George Clooney was on the Facts of Life
Yes.
in the 80s. He was the plumber.
George Clooney was on a couple of shows. He was on Roseanne.
Hey, in the 90s, he was on ER. That's what made him a fucking...
He was, he
household
was
name.
one of the main people on here.
Holy shit, Adam! I believed you that Adam Sandler was on the Cosby Show, but Adam Sandler doesn't even look like the same
No.
Adam Sandler.
That's because
He's like
Bill
a
Cosby's
fucking
dick's out.
teenager.
Hey, I want to take back my best Adam Sandler movie of the 90s is Billy Madison. I want to throw out a movie that no one else has really seen. Airheads.
I
That
haven't
is
seen that.
the
It's
most
an awesome
That is a
movie.
good
That is
movie
most-
and all, but it doesn't.
That is the most underrated movie of the fucking 90s.
It doesn't top fucking
Airheads is not the most underrated. Airhead. There's a reason why people that don't really know about because Airheads is not that fucking good.
Yes, it is. It's a great
Yeah.
movie. It's one of the most 90s films.
In the
It's pretty
'90s,
good.
even Pauly Shore was good.
Here's the thing, Dion. When you talk about cultural differences, I don't think a movie like Airheads would interest you.
I've seen it, so yeah, I mean, I could attest to that. But
I'm saying, I just don't think it's a movie that, like, I don't think you give a shit about Aerosmith from in the 90s. I'm talking about in the 90s what you cared
Right.
about. I don't think you were caring about Aerosmith and Beavis and Butthead, and just, and the Incredible Crash Dummies, which was another great 90s hallmark.
yep. I don't know. That movie is just very. I like it. Don't get me wrong, but I can see why it wouldn't be held to the same esteem as a lot of other movies in the 90s, even as an underrated movie.
It has a great cast too. I mean, you got Steve Buscemi, Brendan Fraser, Adam Sandler,
Fraser with long hair.
Michael Richards, the Closet Racist. You have Michael McKean, the Christina Applegate lookalike, Lemmy, Harold Ramis, two dead guys, Chris Farley, another great dead guy, Ernie Hudson.
So many dead
I mean,
guys.
that movie.
Right.
That movie is stacked, though. The cast is so stacked, and it's just. I think it's a movie that just got forgotten. It's not that it's bad and it's underrated because it's not good. I just think it was forgotten in time. Like, I hate to say it, but like over time, Beverly Hills Cop will be forgotten.
Airheads.
That is not a movie anyone talks about. anymore.
Airheads was a great movie and all, but again, am I the only one that liked Pauly Shore in the '90s?
No, dude. Encino Man was.
So was
awesome.
Biodome.
Biodome is what
buddy.
killed the man.
Yeah, I
That
agree.
movie was just, and even drunk, that movie is fucking shit. And Encino Man is shit, but it's like the beginning of Pauly Shore. Like, oh yeah, well, he's a comedian, and like his dad was famous, whatever. And then they're just like, oh, fucking Biodome's the exact same fucking.
Well, Dion, don't go watch In the Army now because you'll be so offended because it's so bad.
Oh, is that the one with Andy Dick?
Yes, anything with Andy Dick.
I've
is
seen that. It is fucking garbage.
The only thing I thought was decent that Pauly Shore did after Encino Man was Son-in-Law.
Die.
Oh shit! Well, Pauly Shore's still alive.
Damn,
so
he couldn't even do that right.
Son-in-Law was good.
Carla Gugino was
Okay.
really hot in that movie.
Another good movie from the '90s. What about Bob?
Yo. Oh God, Dr. Leo Marvin.
Never seen it.
Dude, Groundhog Day is one of the best movies. Of the
It
90s.
is the very beginning of the 90s. It's fucking
I
fantastic.
thought Groundhog Day
That's
was
a-
still that is '90s. What am I
Yeah.
thinking of? That was still '80. Oh no, I'm thinking of the '70s. Was it '70s with Caddyshack?
That's
No,
eight.
that's 1981.
All right.
I think.
Well, Caddyshack was still fucking amusing, and it's still great. And I still love it.
Caddyshack. You know what? I'm a big Chevy Chase guy, and that's one of his best roles.
Caddyshack was a great movie.
Now, Caddyshack 2, did Caddyshack 2 come out in 1990? Let me
I'm
that one
looking it
I
up
think
right
it's
now.
89.
Yeah, nobody cares about Caddyshack 2 though.
Oh, 88. That came out before I was born. Oh, shit.
God damn.
Hey, attesting to your comment, Brian, that no one cares about Caddyshack, 4% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes.
No, Caddyshack 1 everybody loves. Caddyshack 2 nobody cares about.
That's what
Yeah.
I meant to say. Caddyshack 2, 4% rotten.
How about that?
Shack
There's no way
is-
Caddyshack's rotten on Rotten.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Oh, no. Caddyshack is a comedy classic. We're going to do a comedy episode one of these days, and God damn it, we'll be talking about Caddyshack quick.
No.
Can we praise one other actor from the '90s right now?
Of course.
Jim Carrey, whose career.
Yes.
Oh,
my
my
His
God.
career
not
was made in the
about this.
'90s.
How did we not talk about this already? No one wants to play with me.
Well, no, Jim Carrey. I think Jim Carrey is to the '90s what Eddie Murphy was to the '80s. You had a decade where everything the guy did was hugely successful and good for the most part. I mean, Jim Carrey started out on In Living Color, which is a phenomenal television show.
Yep.
And
Fire
then
Marshal Bill.
I know he did other stuff before. Yeah, I love Fire Marshal Bill. Holy shit. The fucking faces. Oh my God, it's amazing.
Homie, don't play that.
But then, oh God, Homie the Clown was. I know I'm in the minority here, but man, Men on Film, where Damon Wayans wore that little tiny
Yeah.
hat on his bald
Yeah.
ass head.
Yeah.
That makes me laugh every fucking
Hand-
time. I think his name was
Fucking
Quan.
handyman.
Was that the one that always
Yeah,
got
he's
hurt?
the superhero, the handicapped superhero.
Oh, I don't
You don't
remember
remember
that.
that one? Oh, fucking
Yeah.
YouTube that shit.
It's Blank.
Anime.
I will look it up towards the end of our show.
We were talking about Damon Wayans. That was Blank Man.
What?
Yeah, Blank Man was a movie.
Yeah.
That's all I can say about that.
Yeah, and David Allen Greer was his brother.
I love David Allen Greer.
No, he played a role on In Living Color.
I loved him until he did Chocolate News on Comedy Central. But
Yeah, I never gave it a shot because the other guy that was on that show, who's almost as boring as Hannibal Buress,
you like
Well,
Hannibal
I mean-
Buress? I love Hannibal Buress.
what is there to like about
I
him?
don't
He's
think he's
hilarious. And then I just love how he is deadpan. I'll give you that. He's very deadpan, but like his actual jokes are fucking hilarious. But
I'm willing to give everyone a second chance. But back to Jim Carrey. I mean, he went from Ace Ventura and The Mask and Dumb and Dumber in 1 year.
yeah,
Exactly.
Name an actor that had a better year.
that's fucking crazy.
I mean, Dumb and Dumber is one of the best movies of the 90s, one of the best comedies of all
Yeah,
time.
easily.
Just flat out. That movie's fucking perfect from start to finish. Every joke hits, and it gets better with age because you pick up on stuff that you didn't realize.
So,
the first time you
I
watched
have
it.
not seen the newest Dumb and Dumber movie.
Don't
Yeah,
watch
don't
it.
watch it, dude.
Okay.
Just,
If you're a fan of the original,
that's-
don't watch the.
that was an awkward.
That was random.
silence. No, I like Ace Ventura. I think it's funny.
I like the
enough,
first Ace
especially-
Ventura.
The first one is
Oh, God,
better.
the
The second one's there.
I like the second
Dude,
one
the-
though, especially the opening, the fucking cliffhanger joke where he's
Oh,
he's
God.
fired out, he just randomly throws up in a fucking birds. That's fucking hilarious.
My favorite part of number 2 is when he's coming out of the rhino's
Oh,
asshole.
yeah. The family's recording it. They're just like fucking puking.
Yeah. My favorite part of any Ace Ventura movie, though, is when he realizes that Finkel is Einhorn and Einhorn is Finkel. Finkel's a man, and he starts puking like, and he starts scrubbing his skin in
I
the
love that
bathtub.
movie.
My favorite
So
part of the
gentlemen.
first one is when he's in the mental institution, running. He slams his head into the bench.
Put me in, coach. I'm good for a play.
All right. Quick interruption, gentlemen. How
Yo.
much longer are we going for tonight?
If you gotta cut out, you
Well,
gotta
I
cut
just
out.
wanted to know because I kind of want to go smoke a cigarette.
Go smoke a cigarette and come
All
on
right.
back.
See you gentlemen in a little bit.
Cool tips.
All right.
Broke the fucking fourth
yeah,
roll, dude.
Damn it,
Yeah.
Brian.
Fuck me. I want to go smoke a cigarette, you
Well,
sons of
type
bitches.
it. Type it in the chat. You don't have to say it on air.
My bad, Jeff. We're going to need an edit on that one because I fucked up.
Yeah, I'm writing it down, but okay, we're going back. So yeah, and then I guess do you guys like The Mask?
I like
Oh,
the mask.
Young Cameron
She's
Diaz,
awesome.
shit.
Dude, she's fine in that movie. I don't think she's ever looked better in a film.
Agreed. Shit.
Uh,
I remember being a kid and quoting The Mask. I used to especially go around and be like, "Smoke." If someone would tell me something, I'd just be like, smoking. Yeah, I fucking love
Smoking.
so great. Oh, it's such great.
I had that lunchbox. It was a purple lunchbox.
Yep.
I'm gonna look it up right now. Oh my god. Keep
I used to
talking.
think the fucking yellow suit was the coolest fucking thing in the world. And then they had the fucking Mask cartoon that was on for only a season. Oh my god, it was a horrible cartoon. I knew it was a
It
horrible
was
cartoon.
there.
But I fucking loved it just because
It was there, but I watched it.
Oh my.
Was it worse than the Dumb and Dumber cartoon? Or the Ace Ventura cartoon? Because those sucked.
Those were horrible.
I remember watching the Ace Ventura cartoon.
Let's get an Ace Ventura cartoon that sounds nothing like Jim Carrey.
Alrighty then. that I did the voice as a kid.
No, yeah, you probably.
That was bad.
Oh my god. The Mask. I'm looking at Mask action figures right now. Holy shit! I wanted one so bad. I never got one.
They were cool. Oh my god,
Hey,
God, I love
hey Dion. You know what else had a great action figure that I wanted?
what.
Hercules: The Legendary
Fuck
Journey.
to Kevin Sorbo, you are our goddamn hero
You were the coolest motherfucker of 1994 to 1995.
by
Man,
far.
I
By
can do
far.
without it.
I loved that show. Every day I watched.
Oh my god, and then there were so many great episodes. Bruce Campbell was in that show. Obviously, the spinoff was Xena Warrior Princess. Who else famous was in that fucking show?
Probably
Ted Raimi was probably in some.
Yeah, and that's a Sam Raimi show. But oh my god, I remember when you and I would get drunk and watch it. I forgot that Bruce Campbell was the thief, and then sing it again, where he would just fucking throw a whip and then just disappear off the fucking camera on this whip. Like, what the fuck just happened?
You know, real quick, back to The Mask. You guys, did you realize that was a comic book movie?
No.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it is. It's based on, and I've read it. It is a dark comic book. It is not a slapstick funny book like the movie. It's really fucking dark. Stanley Ipkiss, the character that Jim Carrey plays, dies in the first issue.
Jesus.
Because he fucks people up. Like, he goes to remember how the auto shop fucked his car up and they gave him that loaner?
Right.
In the movie? Mm-hmm. In the comic, they fuck up his car, and then once he gets the mask, he goes back and shoves a fucking,
banana in the tailpipe?
Banana, he puts basically a whole tailpipe and muffler in a guy's throat.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he stabs somebody. He goes to school and beats up his old teacher. Oh my god, it's dark.
I wish that was in the
awesome.
movie.
If they were gonna make a sequel to it, I wish
good
that's
sequel?
what would have
They
been.
did make a sequel.
Yeah.
It was a piece of shit.
How shitty was it, Phil?
It was so shitty.
I remember
don't
too. It
know.
was so bad. Jamie Kennedy actually made a documentary about how people treated him after it.
You know what, Jamie Kennedy? You need to be able to handle criticism. I get criticized for my views on Star Wars. You get criticized on your views for what you consider
Hey,
entertainment.
Jamie Kennedy, word of the wise, if you didn't want to get criticized, then you shouldn't have made stupid fucking movies.
That's a good point. Because
Did he make a good movie ever? I don't think so.
Well, I like Malibu's Most Wanted, but it's not a good
I like
film.
it, kind of.
He was in Scream.
Yeah, but he didn't make that movie, and he wasn't that big of a role.
He was a huge role.
He was the best
He
character.
was by
He was
far
a
the best
ghost
character. He was the one that broke the fourth wall the whole movie.
That's what she said.
What was his name, like Ronnie or something, or Ryan? Who gives a shit? Honestly, Jamie Kennedy is, he only in the 90s could he carve out a small footing for him to, become an actor.
Yeah.
He's not very good.
He is. There's a lot of things that he's bad at, particularly stand-up comedy. But
God, don't remind me.
Scream ruined a lot of shit. I mean, we had I Knew What You Did Last Summer, and The Faculty was pretty good. You like that movie, Dion?
I love The Faculty. I mean, that's probably one of the only, besides Scream, only the first Scream, true 90s thrillers that I actually really like.
Well, at least you have good taste.
Yeah, I mean, because The Faculty, because that's young, Josh Hartnett and Usher's in that movie, and fucking Usher, baby, and fucking the T-1000, Robert Patrick's in The Faculty.
Yes,
He's a football coach.
And I think Jordana Brewster's in that,
Holy
and
shit, she is.
She is in the Fast and Furious.
That's true. God, The Faculty
She
was
was
a
really
very
cute back then. Yeah, I think she was in The Faculty. Man, she was young in that movie too.
yeah. Oh shit. Was it what? Oh man, God, that was a good movie. And then, oh man, but no, going back to what you were saying, Scream did.
But shit, oh man, and yeah, what was it? Oh, mother, and oh.
Well, when you bring up Jordana Brewster, sometimes Dion gets all hot and flustered.
You know how I do with them light-skinned women, man. They just drive me crazy.
I like my women from South America, and she's from Panama. That's Central America, right?
Yeah.
Close enough.
Okay, I like women that aren't white all the time.
All the time.
On the weekends, they're brown.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I got you.
I'm tan.
Okay.
Yeah.
But well, fuck Scream ruined a lot of shit. It ruined Halloween. I hated a lot of those shitty '90s horror movies, which I thought were gonna be so scary, like Urban Legend. And then I watched it as a kid, and I was like,
Yep.
I shouldn't really watch horror movies because they're stupid.
Oh yeah, it Scream did a lot of damage, but I never will stop laughing at that part where she's getting off the bus and Scream, and the chick just randomly goes, "Bye, Cindy!" like a fucking crazy person. Oh my gosh, that's my favorite part of that movie.
The best thing that came out of Scream was Scary Movie.
Agreed,
Yeah,
100%.
agreed.
100%, Doctor. Speaking of favorites, what was your favorite 90s movie overall?
Ooh, fuck.
Oops.
Do we have to choose one?
You can name 3 if you really can't come
Happy Gilmore, Happy Gilmore, Happy Gilmore.
You know what? If I heard anything but
Phil,
Happy
we said
Gilmore, I would
90s. You're supposed to be
severely-
picking the original Terminator movie right now.
Happy Gilmore, Terminator 2. Oh, I don't know about my third one.
I have a list of every film that came out in the 90s, so I'm going through it.
Wayne's World, Dumb and Dumber.
I'll go with Ace Ventura, the first one.
I guess I gotta throw GoldenEye, but I want to give an honorable mention to Detroit Rock City
Ooh.
and Bowfinger. And
Oh man.
I think 1999 was one of the best year in film overall. Like
1999 was a great. I mean, I think you can even go as far as to say 98, 99 is the greatest. Like that, as far as a congruent time period, is one of the best for entertainment overall. It was such a great time period. Well, shit, you can even say that just the end of the 90s. So much great shit came out of the end of the 90s.
In the early 90s, you had that weird runoff from the 80s.
Yep.
You had like Point Break, and Point Break's a great movie, but Point Break is very okay. In the 90s, do you remember those people that still thought it was the 80s? They had those fucked up half mullets, and they wore those shitty, not bleached jeans. Dan, I have a feeling you were around a lot of people like that in the 90s.
I don't remember anything from when I was a kid.
Okay.
I also
well,
don't remember
I'm just
anything that
saying.
happened before yesterday.
That's probably
In
for the
this,
best.
remember how people had shitty mustaches and listened to fucking... God, they would not stop listening to Bon Jovi. That's just my biggest problem with the 90s. People wouldn't stop listening to Bon Jovi. But once you got to the mid-90s, you had a unique style. And I'll say this, I think the 90s was the last decade to have a cultural identity. Because once you got to like 2000, styles changed, but there was nothing defining from the year 2000 to now. We've just kind of... you can wear a sweater from, 2003 and it's still in style. There's really no big changes. We don't have, and a 2000s equivalent of like parachute pants or the flannel look, looking like a grunge guy.
Well, yeah, I think that the thousands were very. That's when retro was becoming a huge thing. So like after the new millennium, everyone's like, oh well, let's get all nostalgic over the 90s and the 80s and the 70s. It's definitely. I will say that the new millennium has been more about technology overall as far as new shit being developed with YouTube and all that shit. But I could agree. I think you hit on the nail on the head, man. The 90s was definitely the last time where people were like, even kids were like, okay, well, we're gonna like our own shit now. We're gonna like wrestling, and we're gonna start the comic book. And if I had to choose, it'd be Spawn, Blade, and Terminator 2 for me. But we're gonna
Glad you
we're
just
gonna
threw
make
that in there.
just in case, we're gonna fucking like our own movies and our own pop culture, and we're only fucking we're 10 years old, less than 10 years old. It was the 90s were fucking awesome.
It was cool. Like I said earlier, it was the decade of the kid. It was cool. The 80s was the decade of, the teenager and going to the mall and doing shit. But as like little kid in the 90s, there were so many outlets for you to, things to do. You could go to like Chuck E. Cheese and hang out. You could go to, arcades were still a thing in the 90s. People like to act like they weren't. But
They were.
arcade.
I remember having
I used to
arcade
take
machines
karate.
in my house in the 90s.
Well, we weren't as privileged as you to have nannies and arcade machines. Okay.
I feel like somehow
Were you rubbing elbows with Shane McMahon?
Somehow, as I got older, I feel like we lost way too much money, and now I'm fighting all of it. I skipped kindergarten because I was playing Pac-Man. I had freaking things.
Well, Dan, I know you personally. You guys definitely are different than the way you used to describe it. Did you invest in Yahoo and lose all your money?
Yahoo!
Was at least a reason.
Yahoo the website or Yahoo the drink?
That's Yoo-hoo.
Oh, same shit.
That's a 90s drink if I ever heard of one.
Yeah,
So is
Yoo-hoo.
Surge.
I fucking love
God.
Surge.
Tastes like
I need to get
1997.
one of those. That and Citra were the best.
Yeah.
I miss, remember how everything was so extreme in the late 90s, too?
That was one of the drawbacks, was extreme.
It was fun. The only thing I hated were when the dudes would, dye the tips of their hair blonde.
Frosted tips.
And, yeah, frosted tips were
fucking
shit.
boy. We can thank boy bands for that bullshit.
Well, do you want to talk about some of the phrases from the 90s?
What do you got?
Like, I don't know, the bomb?
Oh,
or ain't nothing but a chicken wang on a string.
I've never heard that
Ain't
one.
no thing but a chicken wing.
Yeah. How about that's whack?
Wazap.
Psych. Oh my god, that's the most 90s phrase ever. Psych.
Psych.
No one even says that shit anymore, thankfully.
They might have
bringing
to
it
watch
back
our
now.
episode.
Oh god, we've opened up a can of worms.
It's too
Okay.
late.
I do miss the what's up guys though. I'll admit that. I miss those two.
But Dion, you can watch the Dudley Boys every week on Monday Night Raw, 8 p.m. on USA.
For
Network.
3 hours.
Plug.
WWE programming.
Plug.
Guys, in the 90s, wrestling was fucking phenomenal.
Best it ever was.
I think the year 2000 was the best it ever was, but 99 was a phenomenal year.
Yep.
I mean, you had, and let's just talk about 99 for a brief second. We had Stone Cold The Rock, Triple H, Undertaker, Kane, Mankind, all title contender guys. You had the New Age Outlaws, you had the Acolytes, you had Edge and Christian. I mean, there were just, the rosters were stacked.
You had even program. You had Raw, you had SmackDown, you had Heat, you had Velocity, you had WWE.
Jacked and Metal.
Yeah, God, yeah. Then you had
Don't forget WWF Live Wire.
WWF New York. Then you had
The place I always wanted to go to.
I know, same here. I'm missing one other. There was like a pay-per-view. I can't remember what it was, but oh my God, 99 was definitely the fucking shit.
It was the last year of the In Your House pay-per-view.
That's right, it was.
And the
Backlash
Over the Edge
99
pay-per-view
was
for
the last-
some reason.
And the last year of Owen Hart.
Oh, that's the reason.
That's what she said.
Ah, okay.
99
I just
or
wanted to
90?
clarify.
Oh, he died 97.
Edge.
No, he died in
Yeah,
99.
he
Oh
died.
shit.
And Over the Edge.
May,
I mean,
May of 99.
if you want to go back earlier, you mean there was also Saturday Night Shotgun every Saturday night.
Ew, remember when they fought in the subways of New York
Yup.
City?
Oh yeah.
Shotgun Saturday Night was a... I'm glad I wasn't watching wrestling back then.
It was
It was
pretty
a thing.
It was.
Well, and there was only... I think there's only one good wrestling game in the 90s, WWF-wise, and that was WrestleMania 2000. So that it barely squeaked
Oh
by.
my God, WrestleMania 2000. What the fuck was that?
At least the year later, we got something epic.
The greatest game of all time, wrestling-wise.
Yes.
No mercy.
What do you guys? What are some other '90s games you were into, Big? There's three I want to bring up: Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario World, and GoldenEye.
Spider-Man was the big one for me. Spider-Man.
You mean the one on
Yep.
PlayStation? That came out in 2000.
Get out of here with that shit, Phil.
Was that
Gauntlet Legends?
Damn.
I got that for Christmas that year, dude.
Yeah, I mean there was Gauntlet Legends.
Yep,
I
that was a
remember
good
that
game.
on
Yep, that was a good
Then,
game.
Mortal
you
Kombat
know-
started up.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat was in the
God.
90s. Then there was my deep descent into the love of RPGs with Final Fantasy VII.
Nerd.
Yes, sir.
I was a big fan of Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting on Super Nintendo.
Street Fighter 2 was that
Yeah.
shit.
I used to love Ken and Ryu and Sagat.
I was a big fan of E Honda.
Oh God,
X-Men.
he always creeped me out as a kid.
Damn it, Honda.
Cause you know why he creeped me out? Because you could kind of like when he would fall, I was afraid his towel was gonna fly out. It was just kind of gross. I didn't want to see fat Japanese wiener.
It's a fat Japanese wiener, which is different than the regular wiener.
Yeah, because it's Japanese. And fat.
It's Japanese. Eh.
It's a concern I live with.
It's
every
almost
day,
like
okay? Just
Dustin
let
is
me
still
loose.
here.
He is, okay? He's writing my dialogue.
Okay.
Sounds like it.
What are some other games you guys
Well,
like?
Spider-
Spider-Man
Jeff
arcade
Hates-
game, the fighting game was amazing.
Earthworm
that-
Jim.
The
One
X-Men
that Jeff
arcade
hates
game.
is, the Sonic games.
Sonic.
I don't hate
I
Sonic.
love the Sonic
1 and 2.
I hate modern day Sonic. I loved Sonic the
everybody-
Hedgehog 2 back in
Everybody
the day.
hates modern day Sonic.
Modern day Sonic is pretty fucking
He's
bad.
the fastest thing alive.
Streets of Rage. I love Streets of Rage.
The Sonic cartoon from the 90s.
Yes.
Which one?
The original Sonic cartoon. Yeah.
There were two that aired concurrently.
The one that started
They
earlier.
both had they both had Jaleel White's voice. Is it the one with Tails or
With
without
Tails.
Tails? Then that's the one I like. The Adventures of Sonic. That was awesome with Dr. Robotnik. Fucking, his name is not Eggman. It's
Fuck
Dr.
Eggman.
Robotnik.
Dr. Robotnik.
And then there was that robot that looked like a chicken, and then the little tank guy.
Yep.
Yup.
That was a great cartoon. I watched that every morning, and he always wanted a goddamn chili dog.
Yeah.
Everything was a quest for a chili dog.
Hey,
Hey,
Dan,
yo.
remember when Douche Canoe would talk about chili dogs?
We don't want to talk
Could
about
you imagine watching a cartoon about those type of chili dogs?
Nope.
That would be the most disturbing cartoon ever.
Oh, fucking.
You never go ass to mouth.
Oh.
Yeah, Clerks came out in the 90s. Holy shit, we almost forgot the name drop Clerks. The Rise of Kevin Smith.
Right?
It's true.
Dogma.
The
Dogma
rise,
also came out in
the
the
rise
90s.
and eventual plateau of Kevin Smith took place in the 90s.
Yeah, the highest point he got.
The 90s are what made Kevin Smith.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, you have Clerks, you have Chasing Amy, you have Mallrats, you have Dogma.
Dogma's a great movie.
I love Dogma.
I love it. Rest in peace, Alan Rickman.
R.I.P.
How can the voice of God die? He's the fucking Metatron, for God's sake.
He got drunk and forgot it.
Okay.
Sorry, that's a different line. That was Chris Tucker's Rufus, the 13th Apostle.
Yeah.
Damn it, Rufus.
Oh, speaking of the
That was
90s,
hot.
fucking Chris Tucker. What the fuck?
He was funny back then.
Yeah. Rush Hour.
Get out, Lee!
Friday, Money Talks.
Bye, Felicia.
Money Talks is in my top favorite films of the 90s. The opening to that movie is one of the best openings of all
No,
time.
I cannot not listen to Barry White and not think about Chris Tucker.
You're the only one, girl. You're the only one. Big black guy singing, little black guy is what you think about that.
Charlie Sheen. Oh, great movie.
Yeah, oh my god, that is a phenomenal film. I'll give it a 10 out of 10. Brett Ratner actually did a good job.
Yeah.
Right, one of the few movies he did.
Oh my god, we had so many good fucking movies in the 90s. Oh, there's just too many to
So
talk
many good
about.
everything
So,
in the 90s.
The 90s was amazing.
well, I mean, you guys were little kids. What were some of the toys you were playing with back then? This is the shit that interests me because not everyone had the same toys. We all had access to the same shows.
X-Men.
Dude.
One of my favorite toys was a 12-inch Cyclops X-Men figure. I was really big into X-Men, obviously, as a little kid. I remember I had a Batman Forever Walkman that my mom got me for my birthday in '97. I use that thing so much I fucking broke the shit out of it.
Did you listen to your Seals Kiss from a Rose?
I damn
tape
right
on
I did. And then I also listened to a lot of a few tapes that I stole from my parents, which included one that had Donna Summer on it. But we'll get to that shit later.
She did.
Star Wars action figures, that was my jam as a kid. I had almost all of the Force Awakens, or not the Force Awakens, House of the Force line.
I mean, I was with both of you guys. Dion, I have my original Cyclops still. The batteries still work on the figure.
Nice.
I can show you that later. And then, Brian, I had all the Power of the Force too. Like the original line, like the initial wave, I had all those figures, and then I got most of the other ones. I was a huge Star Wars nut as a kid. That's what I was hoping to feel when I saw this new movie, but I didn't.
Then there was also Transformers for me. Beast Wars, the 80s Transformers in general were the shit when I was a kid.
Did you have any of the G2 Transformers?
I'm trying to remember if I did. I do remember being pissed when they went from metal to plastic.
Yep. I have the G2 Optimus Prime, and his damn hands would fall off. And you know, they didn't glue in or stay attached, so I have a handless Optimus Prime, so that's no fun.
Well, no fun for him. He can't fucking jack off his Optimus Prime dick.
His oil
His
gun.
Robocock.
Oh, God. Speaking of Robocock and cops, dude, Robocop had a fuckload of toys
Yeah,
in the 90s.
They
Robocop
had
had a
animated
horrible
series
TV show in the 90s.
Yep, the animated series, man.
No, it actually had a live-action horrible show in the 90s, too.
Well, yeah, that doesn't count. It only lasted like 3 episodes.
It actually lasted for like 3 seasons, and I've watched all 3 as a kid, and I don't remember. I don't know why.
It lasted 3 seasons.
Well, let's look it up, guys. You keep
I
talking.
want to say it was 3 seasons. It was at least
Yeah,
2.
I think it was. It had 1 full season, but then it got canceled after like 3 or 4 episodes. I want to say. That it was a horrible fucking show.
It was so bad.
Well, RoboCop the series debuted March 18th, 1994. Final episode date November 26th, 1994.
Oh, never mind. You were right. It just seemed like so many more because they replayed it so many times.
Well, I think you're thinking that the animated series was like 2 seasons.
But Brian, RoboCop had 21 episodes plus a pilot, and it was in syndication for many years. So, you know, it's as a show as forgettable as RoboCop the series, you might forget that there's not 50,000 episodes because they're all so boring.
They were all
I think
so
I remember
bad. So bad.
No one famous or relevant was in the show.
Anybody who was in the show, their career was over immediately.
Take that back. Rowdy Piper was in an episode.
Of course he was.
He played Rowdy Piper as faked Commander Cash nutjob villain.
Okay, everybody except for Rowdy Piper's career ended with that show that was on it.
I agree.
Something more important of
Well,
Roddy Piper's ended.
Shh. Guys, I think we've really only scratched the surface of the 90s, and I want to come back one day, but I want to play a little game. I'm going to list you off some things. It's a game called You Know You're a 90s Kid If You Remember, and I want you to tell me if you remember these things, and whoever remembers the most is the most 90s kid of us all.
Brian's not playing.
Okay.
Oh. Do you guys remember Wendy, the Snapple lady?
Yes.
Oh my god, I do too. She was not
No.
a
Oh,
Here's an easy one. Steve
of
Urkel.
course, Family Matters.
Who?
Do you guys remember pagers?
Yep.
I don't. I have one, but I remember them. Yeah.
Bonus points to anyone that had one
I
in their
had
family.
one, and
My
my sister
dad had one.
My mom had one. They might have said it.
Who was your dad calling, Dan?
It was for his old.
Who was calling your
It
dad?
was for his old job. He did emergency things.
Was he a doctor back then?
No. No.
Oh, because you were gonna say like, why did our life change? Because he's not a doctor anymore. He used to be an obstetrician. Now he's not. Okay, who remembers Jonathan Taylor Thomas?
Yep.
JTT, Home Improvement.
Shh. All right. Anybody remember the dancing baby?
That's
Yep.
from
God.
Ally McBeal.
Oh god, that's gross.
Pepsi commercial.
And does anyone remember using 1-800-COLLECT?
Oh,
Oh my
shit.
god, those commercials were.
I remember the commercials.
I've actually
Okay.
used it once or twice in my life.
Question: what was a better service? 1-800-COLLECT, 1-800-CALL-ATT, or 1010-220, then one, then the
Oh
number?
my god, 10, 10, 220, then one number. Oh
Yeah.
my god, those commercials were
Did you remember
so
these fucked up-
crazy.
All the telecom things that were out in the late 90s, like call for free long distance, free that. It's so weird to think there's no more long distance issues. Like, oh, I got to call the West Coast. Well, who
Yeah.
gives a shit? Just call the West fucking coast.
Right.
Just call the motherfuckers.
It's like, with dial-up internet. Oh my god, I only have so many hours on AOL this month, or Net Zero. Those were 90s problems that we had to deal with. Nowadays we're constantly monitored by the government, but at least we can fucking stream YouTube till we go blind.
Exactly. Oh my god, 10, 10, and 1. Oh my god, I forgot all about that. I haven't thought about that in ever. For years.
I can never not remember it. 10, 10, 220, then 1, then the number.
Oh my
Yep.
god.
That's almost as bad
There
as
was a-
slap bands.
Those were fun, though.
They were fun to smack somebody across the fucking face with.
Do you guys know that 10, 10, 220 is still a website?
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Verizon owns it.
Google.
Of course they.
God.
How much is my call? I'm going to choose. Okay, guys. 10, 10, 220. Dial all day, every day. Choose a country. Who should I try to call?
China.
You see how much it would cost to
Yep.
China?
You
Call
do that. I'm going to see how much it costs to call Ascension.
Hey, guys. It would cost us 69 cents per minute to call China.
Ha! The Ascension Island, $1.98 a minute.
It would cost Aruba to call Aruba 87 cents per minute. I'm just trying to find the most expensive place to
To
call.
call the Vatican City,
Call
37
Nepal.
cents.
Call 30. Of course, it's 37 cents. Call Nepal.
Uh,
Dial 10-10-220, and it's $1.50 for all calls up to 10 minutes, and 25 cents a minute after that.
United
call-
States.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking up.
to call the Congo is $1.98.
Damn, it's 88%, 88 miles per hour to call the fucking Virgin Islands.
Jesus.
I love how this is what's become of our podcast right now.
Well, guys, I want to call the Christmas Island. It's only 37 cents a minute. Additional charges may apply.
Call the
How
Pope,
much
it's only
is it?
37 cents a minute.
Hey, it's only 36 cents a minute to call Norway.
It's only $9.99 a month.
$9.99 a month.
You guys remember, like, dial-up internet and waiting for
Ah.
the image to load?
And that noise.
You couldn't make a phone
That
call?
fucking noise.
I used to tell my mom, like, Mom, I'm going on the internet. You can't make a phone call anymore today. She would just make me get up. I gotta call Grandma. I'm like, okay. And then she'd go, I'm off the phone with Grandma. And I'd get right back on the internet and do the dumbest shit. Like, I used to go into chat rooms and just start fights.
Hey, guys. Where the
Yo.
fuck is Voxbone?
What?
Because you can call Voxbone for $2.64 per minute.
Holy shit.
That's so cheap.
Where the fuck is Voxbone?
I have some amazingly sad news.
What?
Did you know that Christopher Lloyd was in a commercial for 10-10-2?
Oh.
What?
Yeah. Ew. Ew. Doc, no! I wonder if he saw his future and he knew that he would be calling. Whoa. There is a 10-10-220 commercial with Alf and Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah, you don't remember that one?
Shit.
There is a 10-10-220 commercial with Alf and Hulk Hogan.
Oh, whoa.
Alf and Emmett Smith. Alf and
Fuck
Toby
Alf.
Keith.
Alf was 10-10-220 for like 2 years, man.
Yeah, he was in several commercials. Damn. He was in a couple with Hulk Hogan. Do you guys remember the Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson sex tape?
Everybody remembers that.
Yeah, that was the first thing I looked up when I knew how to search for porn on the internet. Holy shit. She was like the...
Just 10 cents a minute after that, man.
Is it really that cheap?
Oh, yeah. Try it. You'll see.
Sure, cutie. Why not?
Step away from the pig street. What? That's the last declared, sir. Oh. Dial 10-10-220.
Oh,
Down 10-10-20.
You just made the night better.
that is insane. That is fucking insane.
10-10-220.
You made it. You made my night by bringing that shit up. I haven't thought of those commercials since I was a kid.
I think
I can't... There was another one. It was like, forget 10-10-220, dial 1488 or something like retarded like that too. It was just such a... Everything was a cash grab for these telecom companies.
Hey, Jeff, you want to call North Korea? It's only going to cost $5.45 a minute.
Hello, Kim?
Nice name, asshole.
I have something I think you want.
So the one comment on that 10-10-220 commercial is nowadays a cop can and will kill a man over that last eclair. The only comment.
Jeff.
Hey, Dion, and everyone else on the show, guess what we forgot to
What?
mention? Samurai Cop. That is a 90s movie.
91. Oh, fuck yeah.
I'm telling these sons of bitches that we respect the Japanese in this country. And yeah, this is the land of opportunity for legitimate business, not for death merchants.
Sell drugs to
Just
kids.
saying. Through schools and on the
Oh
streets.
my
telling
god,
these
that is by far
motherfuckers.
the best movie of the 90s. By fucking far.
You know what was some horrible
Matt
movies
Hannon,
from the
we love you.
90s? The Punisher
What?
movies with Dolph Lundgren.
Ooh,
That was shit.
just the
But
one.
I think that was technically 1989.
Yeah, it's 89. It's just the one.
No, he was in
It's-
two.
No, there's
There's only one Punisher
only
movie.
one.
You're thinking of
Yeah.
He-Man, the other, but that's in the 80s too.
No, I wasn't thinking of him. I thought there were two Punisher movies with Dolph Lundgren. One was from the 90s.
No, there's Dolph Lundgren Punisher in 89, and there's the Thomas Jane in 04, and then there's the Ray Stevenson one in 08.
8, I
09?
think.
Yeah.
And all of them suck.
That was the... No, I think that Tom
No,
Jane was
2004
excellent.
Punisher was great.
Tom Jane should have been. He should still be Punisher. Even though John Bernthal, I like John Bernthal, but Tom Jane. And then he did fucking Dirty Laundry. He's a great Punisher.
That was excellent. Okay, on the final note of things you remember, do you guys remember Y2K?
Who
Oh
doesn't?
my god, my dad lost his fucking mind over what.
I thought you were going to say he lost his job because of Y2K.
No, he was retired by then, but yeah, man, he fucking. My dad bought a shit ton of soup and party meat and water. I remember.
What's party meat?
It's essentially spam, essentially.
Oh, potted.
Ew! What kind of party are you hosting?
He lost.
Because you were talking about these great end-of-year parties. I'm thinking, man, Dion, I wish we were friends 20
No,
years
seriously,
ago.
yeah.
And now I'm hearing about these parties with lunch meat that's in a can.
Yum.
Oh my god, but yeah, my dad lost his shit. I remember too. He told my mom's family, he was like, if everything fucks up, you just get the family, you get in the car, and you come to the farm. Don't ask any questions. Just get here. My dad actually believed. My dad believed that shit was just gonna fall apart in 2000.
So did my dad.
Well, my dad had been dead for 12 years, so I don't think it was a concern.
No.
Well, maybe he was gonna come back, with Jesus and all that.
Jeff, I have to tell you about the future. On the night I go back in time.
Axel, what are you doing here?
Oh my god, that would have been crazy. Yeah, Y2K was just such a joke. I remember my cousin made me a Y2K compliancy disc. I still have said disc. I don't even know what it did.
It made you compliant.
Comply?
That's what she said.
Y2K was such a weird thing. Remember the episode of King of the Hill, Dan? The Y2K episode where Hank bought all that shit?
Oh, yeah.
And he ended up getting Peggy a grandfather clock because it was Y2K compliant.
Yep. That was good.
Whoa!
Whoa!
That was a great show. That was one of my favorite cartoons of the 90s.
That was a
too.
great
King of
show.
the Hill.
I miss Married with Children, even though it started in the 80s and ran through the 90s.
That was a phenomenal show.
Right.
Love that show.
Katie Skull was fucking fine.
Yeah, there's still rumors of it coming back with concentrating on Bud and his family and the original cast appearing from time to time in the show.
So it's Fuller House, but with balls.
Yeah.
More sex jokes.
Fuck you, Candace Cameron Bure or Burr.
Wait,
or
there's
whatever.
Full House came back?
Yeah.
It's coming back in 2 weeks,
Oh,
dude.
fuck that.
DJ and Stephanie are going to be the main people in the show.
Wait, hold on.
And his name
DJ
is
still
John
hot?
Stamos. DJ was never hot, dude. She had a big head.
And then later had a meth addiction.
No, that's Stephanie, and she actually grew up to be hot.
Oh.
Everywhere you
And the
look.
Olsen twins didn't come back, and nobody cared.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could just die in a fire. Actually, I take that back already.
Now they're going to die on fire, Jeff, and you're going to be fucking laughing your ass off.
I love how quickly he changed
is?
his mind.
I used to think the Olsen twins were the hottest people or hottest women on the planet. I was also 13 at the time.
Yeah, you and every other middle school boy loved to put his little fucking wiener in those money machines.
Jesus.
Them or Trish Stratus. I was in love with all three of them.
That description.
Put your little wiener in those money machines.
Winner of the money machine, baby.
Jeff, stop fucking the ATM.
Them or Lindsay Lohan from Parent Trap.
Ew, I never liked
Oh my
redheads.
god, I
No,
used to be
I'll
obsessed
pass.
with Lindsay Lohan. Those fucking
Oh.
freckles.
Dude, I love me a redhead, especially a crazy one.
You want to just date somebody's grandma's shoulders? That's what freckles remind me of.
Just the shoulder. I don't want to date the rest of
Nothing
the
else, just the shoulder.
The shoulder's gonna cook you breakfast after it sucks
Do
you.
you have to ruin everything for everyone, Jeff?
Yes.
What? Now I've ruined shoulders for you?
You've ruined freckled redheads for me.
To each his own. Like Isla Fisher is a hot redhead if she's really a redhead.
Now, every time I see a freckled redhead, I'm just going to think grandma's shoulder.
At least I didn't say grandma butthole.
Wait, hold on. It depends on how hot the grandma
that
is.
wasn't making it weird. Oh, okay, just making sure. That wasn't.
Grandma's shoulders.
No, grandma's
Well, she didn't
butthole.
cover up
That
in
was
the
not
beach,
where
you
it was
know?
weird. Grandma's butthole wasn't weird. Okay.
No, I said I could.
Oh, you could have said grandma's butt. It's not like you just said grandma's butthole. Man.
You can
The
stop
fuck is
saying
playing
grandma
that?
butthole.
Well, hey, it's not like Phil's tossing grandma salad.
Ooh.
Oh God, that fucking video. Well, as we close out, guys, let's take care of our social media obligations.
Ooh-wee.
First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to our official number one
John
fan,
Stamos.
Noah. Yes, John Stamos. No. There's a guy on YouTube named Noah R. That's his screen name, and he absolutely loves our videos. He has watched them all and commented on them, and he thinks that you guys won the Empire Strikes Back debate, but he prefers A New Hope. So he just wanted that to be known. So Noah, thanks for listening to the show. We hope you keep listening to the show, because we're only getting
But we
better.
don't blame you if you don't.
I do, personally. I won't be able to sleep at night if I know that Noah's not out there going, you know what, guys, you're funny as shit. I'm going to tell my friends.
Plus,
about it.
we know Noah, that from now on, along with the rest of us here at World Class Bullshitters, you will also see freckles on the shoulder and say, "Damn, that is one hot ass grandma."
And if you don't know, now you know.
Can't say it.
I'm sorry, that was so retarded.
I like how everyone went quiet to see if he was like, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna fucking do it?
Well, half of
I
him
will one of these
can.
days. I mean, when it's appropriate, but I'm just not going to randomly start singing Biggie Smalls lyrics unless it's, apropos to the conversation.
Baby.
That's one of my favorite episodes of South Park, by the way. When they summon Biggie Smalls in the mirror like a Bloody Mary.
God, I've
I
never
love
seen
that
one.
episode.
Motherfucker, he shows up and just starts shooting everybody.
End it when you're just
Wait,
constantly looking.
is that the Halloween
Nope,
episode?
with the
Yeah,
Satan wanting
Satan
a birthday.
throws the party.
Satan's birthday party thing.
I've seen that one. That's fucking funny. But some other social media I want to bring up is, guys, our Star Wars video is tearing it up. We have so many fucking comments.
Fucking A.
And it's funny that most of the people are agreeing. It's not like I'm getting a bunch of people that are going, oh, this is a great movie, you guys are just assholes or you're stupid. No, we're getting a lot of positive responses. And it's cool. One of my favorite YouTube channels, a channel called Retro Blasting, which is just about old toys, commented on our video. So that was pretty neat. But most of the comments are just talking about, great points, Rey is not that great of a character. She's too perfect. The movie depressed me. The movie's badly written dog shit, making lots of money on brand and name recognition with its massive fan base of ADHD zombies. If there's anything positive about it, that was the first 5 minutes when Kylo Ren stops a laser blast with the Force, but it's all downhill from there. You know what? That's my exact sentiment with the film, or for the film. That was spot on.
That's actually really good.
That's pretty good.
Also, we have another comment. The whole film felt like a blatant pandering to those who loved the OT but hated the prequel trilogy. Even though the term Sith was actually apparently first mentioned in the novelization of A New Hope, well, who cares? That's just semantics. Sith was always a phrase that we knew in the 90s before the prequels. That wasn't anything that George Lucas created later. So, people got to give it credit. So, yeah, we're getting some good reviews, and a lot of people are just saying they're happy to not be alone. So, guys, in the future, if you want an opinion that's not always going to be jaded by the hype, listen to World Class Bullshitters. I know we're going to give an honest review of Batman vs. Superman, and I'm going to guarantee you that we're going to give you an honest review of every movie we see in theaters this year. I can't be blinded by nostalgia anymore, or ever. All the movies that I would be nostalgic for aren't going to get remakes or sequels. Back to the Future's done. They're not going to make another Fletch movie. They're not going to do another Pierce Brosnan James Bond movie. I'm just saying the shit that I would maybe let nostalgia color my opinion of something is all dead.
Well,
So
I think that it's just very apparent when you have a podcast such as ours, where it's dudes that can watch something and can say either it's bad or it's not good. I mean, we still like something, but we can objectively say, hey, this clearly was not made for people who like this thing, and that's something that not a lot of podcasts can do.
Well, and I also think that we are smarter than the average bear, and we're able to see when a movie is more of a product than an actual movie, you know? Like, you know that Star Wars was hitting all those 4 quadrants that they were, you know, that these marketing teams want you to hit in a movie. That movie only exists to, it's a piece of merchandise to sell more merchandise. It's not a quality piece of filmmaking. It's not what Dustin likes to say is a piece of art, you know? I think the phrase art gets thrown around a lot on this show. This Star Wars movie is not a piece of art.
This show is art.
It's a piece of shit. This show
There
is
you
art.
go, Dan.
I
Nice
threw it
Dan,
around.
You're a sculptor. And Phil's a doctor.
doctor.
But we got one more thing, and then I'm going to finish it all up. We have a tweet, so it was pretty cool to get this tweet. This comes from David Jones, at Davey N. Jones. Thanks for the Star Wars Episode 7 review. Same for me. Reviewers on the hype train saying issues will resolve in the next 2 films. Kind of depressing. Well, Davey, they can't excuse their way out of this piece of shit. A movie has to stand on its own merits and not depend on what may come in the future.
Yeah,
So,
Disney.
Thank you, Davey. Like I said, I appreciate all the positive responses we're getting. It's pretty damn awesome. You guys are great. And expect to see a lot more from World Class Bullshitters in the future.
Fucking A.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere, man. We're like a bad penny. We always
I
turn
mean,
to
we might go to the bathroom every once in a while, but we'll come back.
And Dan might go to the ER when he stops breathing, but he will be
Hey,
back.
it's been a year. It's been a year.
It's been a year. See, you're not going anywhere, my friend.
Oh, you
Although,
guys-
did you see Batman Superman? That may force you to go to the ER again.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So, are you
Which
guys?
is going to
Dan
be
might
a very big
If
time
if
for us, because not only will we be seeing Batman and Superman, we'll be going to WrestleMania.
Oh, my God. Well, you know what we should do is we should give a live, not a live report, but we should report back to our listeners right after WrestleMania.
Agreed. I think we should.
I feel like we owe it
I'll
to
We'd
be
them.
be, it'd be awesome too because we'd be exhausted and we'd be like, okay, it's fresh in our minds. Wake Phil's ass up and Brian's ass up. Let's talk about this shit.
I won't be sleeping. I
Well,
will just watch WrestleMania.
I'm just going to throw this out there on air, even though it's a little behind the scenes. I'm going to come back from WrestleMania and get nice and drunk and stay up that night. I'm not in a rush to go to bed after WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Let's
I'm
stay
in.
a little
Fuck it.
later.
I will be. I'll be.
Let's do it.
It's WrestleMania's on a Sunday, so I'll be up to like 5 o'clock in the morning anyway.
All right, cool. You'll still be playing.
Cool
Mario.
tits.
That, or I'll be playing Commander with a couple of buddies.
Commander.
Well,
It's a Magic
you can tell
format.
us.
Commander.
Aw. Well, guys, this has been another great episode of World Class
as
Bullshitters.
they always
Every
are.
Thursday we take a dump on the world of pop culture, which we just did today. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are World Class Bullshitters on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter at the WorldClassBS. On Facebook, we're facebook.com/futurepopcast, which is our production company, and you can contact us personally at worldclassbs@mail.com, which is the best website for all your email needs.
Most epic email name, mail.com.
No chance they forget that shit.
It's just mail.com. I think Yahoo's going out of business. That's why I didn't choose it.
That's not a bad choice.
I had a Yahoo email
could've
address
just
since I was a
Gmailed it, man.
teenager.
I tried to Gmail it, but I would have to make a new account.
Oh, poor
And I
Lacey,
really don't want to
man.
be giving out my I don't want to be giving out my personal email every week. Like, hey guys, email me at this website at
I hate when they
gmail.com.
make you do that shit.
I know, it's dumb. But guys, this has been a great episode. I've been your host, Jeff Hicks.
This is your man with the plan, the original tan, Dion Green.
I am a white guy.
Duly noted.
I'm only half white. Does that only make me half wrong? The other half's Arab.
No, you're always wrong.
I am the Dr. Phil, and don't forget to brush your ass.
And I just want to say goodbye for Dustin, who is off looking at those dicks.